In this way, he gave the boy a kick and said coldly, "Do you really want to send him to torture? Mr. Wang, the matter has not been clarified yet. We can't make such a casual conclusion for the time being. It's an extraordinary period to watch over such words. It's impossible for other people to sneak in. As a result, this person is really impossible." The flowers on the street, with a slight frown, gently exhort. Yan Beiqing didn't give face at all. He replied, "Princess, this matter is very important. You'd better not intervene. Anyway, you're a woman in a deep house. You just need to take care of the palace." The flower's face on the street was dim and embarrassed. In the end, I didn't say much, but I was used to it. I lowered my eyebrows and said, "Yes." Yen Moli quietly put their faces in his ears, and the ink color in his eyes was slightly deep. He pulled the corner of his lips and said just right. "If people really want to die, they can't stop it anyway. This temple thinks this person should be to see the affair expose, don't want to betray own master son. This just commit suicide and die. What the princess has just said makes sense." Yan Beiqing's eyebrows were even tighter, but he still didn't think so. "It's related to the safety of the emperor's brother. How can I not do my best? I have to thoroughly investigate all the other possibilities." Yen Emoli saw this and said, "I've given you a lot of trouble since I came here. I'm sorry for that. According to my temple, it's enough. As long as there's an explanation from my father, you and I don't have to investigate too much, so as not to make trouble." Yen Moli didn't want to investigate. Naturally, Yan Beiqing didn't hold on to the truth, so he nodded casually as if he hadn't calmed down. "Since the emperor doesn't want to investigate, you don't want to ask for this trouble." Emo Shanghua sees this, turns Mao to see Yan Emoli one eye, slightly nods. Yan Moli nodded with the same smile, and his voice was gentle and kind. "Now the princess is here. I think the antidote has been developed. His Highness Hui Yi too has indeed been developed and can detoxify at any time." Flowers on the road light mouth. "In that case, please let Princess Yu detoxify your highness as soon as possible." Yen Emoli hasn't opened his mouth yet. The bodyguard behind him is very happy and goes forward. The flowers on the street did not shirk themselves. They simply answered, "They should be like this." Yen Emoli saw this, then consciously stretched out his wrist, motioned to Emo Shanghua to feel the pulse. Yan Beiqing waved his hand, and impatiently asked the housekeeper to carry the body down. Then he stood up and gave his position to Emo Shanghua to facilitate her diagnosis and treatment. Emo Shanghua is not polite either. He just sits down on this sun, takes the wrist pillow Qinya handed over, places it on the small table in front of him, and signals Yen Emo to take it up. After a simple pulse diagnosis, Emo Shanghua took back her hand and said, "I've temporarily suppressed the poison 2 days ago. Now it's almost out of control. It's really not suitable to drag it down. Please move your highness to the inner room. It's inconvenient to treat here." "Good." Yen Emo answered in a low voice. He got up and went to the inner room. Without any hesitation, he seemed to have unlimited trust in Emo Shanghua. Emo Shanghua was about to catch up with Yan Beiqing. He couldn't help but call him, "Lord, the less people there are, the better. You'd better wait here for my news." But Yan Beiqing did not change his face. He looked very serious. "I'm not a layman. I'm the brother of the emperor and my father. What does it matter? Besides, I'm not here to make trouble." Then he glanced at the housekeeper beside him. The housekeeper nodded quickly and went out with a bead curtain. When he came in again, Lu Zheng had already followed him. "It's still like a snow-white robe. It's still a mahogany medicine box. It's still warm and moist, just like a scholar. Dr. Lu." The flowers on the street whispered softly and turned their eyes to Yan Beiqing. Yan Beiqing's lips were slightly crooked, and his eyes seemed to be filled with a childlike invitation for credit. He was elated. "It's hard for you to be tired alone. In this case, it's always hard to avoid accidents. The Imperial Dr. Lu is here to help you. It's also for the safety of the emperor's brother." The flowers on the street were still puzzled. Seeing this at the moment, they were puzzled in their eyes and then went away. In that case, they made a fool of themselves in front of the Imperial Dr. Lu. The princess's medical skill is superb. How can she be a disgrace? Lu Zheng's lips and eyes are soft. In this way, there were 2 more people in the inner room where there should have been only 3 people. Yan Beiqing found a soft couch next to him and sat down, holding a cup of tea in his hand. He rubbed the outer wall of the cup with his long fingers. It seemed that his mood was not as relaxed as usual. Lu Regular is in the street flower together in front of Collapse, staring at the action of the street flower side. Can see Nerve is also a little nervous. The bodyguard who had been following Yan Mo Li's side all the time held the sword handle tightly and stared at the flower on the street without blinking. The whole room seemed to be very nervous, but Yan Mo Li, the client, sat cross-legged quietly on the bed as usual, with his hands relaxed on his knees, and could not see any tension. Princess Yu, it's time to start. Seeing that he was neither arrogant nor impatient, Mo Shanghua didn't know whether he was intentional or unintentional, and said, "This detoxification method, I need to first solve the acupuncture method used to temporarily suppress the poison last time, and then stimulate the poison to drive away the poison. The process is more painful than the usual poisonous hair. I hope your highness will be ready." Yan Mo Li's expression remained unchanged, as if he was half fearless. "Man, what's the pain? I will bear it. You don't have to worry about it." There was a faint color on the bottom of the flower eyes on the street, and there was no abnormality on the face. "Dr. Lu, please tell someone to boil this medicine first. The boiling method is explained in detail, and they must strictly abide by this method." Mo Shanghua took out a prescription and handed it to Lu Zheng. She knew that the remaining 2 people in the room, the big Buddha in Yanbei City, would not move, and the rest of the bodyguards did not dare to leave Yan Mo Li. Only Lu Zheng could go. It happened that he was also proficient in medicine and could watch. Lu Zheng naturally understood what she meant and agreed without thinking. "Yes, I'll go now." Mo Shanghua just glanced at Yan Mo Li, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed. "Please take off your highness's clothes." A few days ago, it was the same with Silver Needle needling. Yan Mo Li didn't care very much. He nodded and then hung his head to untie his clothes. On the contrary, Yan Beiqing, who was sitting opposite him, suddenly darkened his eyes and said in his voice, "How can I see a disease and take off my clothes? Princess, how can my brother be a man? I don't think it's hard for me to give and receive. It's better for you to let Lu Zheng do it for me." He didn't hide his jealousy. Instead, he allowed it to appear. From others' point of view, he was just a husband who ate vinegar for his wife. The bottom of Yan Mo's eyes quickly crossed a touch of treachery, and his voice was gentle. "Beiqing, in the eyes of doctors, are all patients, and there is no distinction between men and women. Moreover, the princess's technique seems to be different from others. Others are afraid that they will really learn it. If they want to learn it, they will not be able to learn it." After a pause, he added, "Intentionally or unintentionally. And the princess did the same thing before, so she didn't mind. Is this a deliberate provocation?" The cold light at the bottom of Yan Beiqing's eyes passed, and he sneered in his heart. In his eyes, even if they have cooperation, they are only superficial, and they must be afraid of each other. I have to say that Yan Mo Li's move is really vicious. If they are really afraid of each other, mutual suspicion, 2 people because of this conflict, then his later provocation will be much easier. Unfortunately, I'm afraid he never thought that Yan Beiqing had a deep love for Mo Shanghua, and would never be provoked by him. As for the flowers on the street, although he didn't know what she thought, with her intelligence, he would not be easily provoked. Sure enough, as soon as Yan Mo's voice fell, his eyes fell on him. His eyes were as deep as a pool. After a short pause, her lips were as bright as peach petals. "Your Highness said that if there is an accident, I can't afford it. The Lord should be more open about it." In his words, he implied that Yan Beiqing was narrow-minded, but his eyes were so quiet. How could he be really annoyed? Yan North City in a flash will come over, deliberately dissatisfied with the mutter, "Yes, I know." With that, he simply turned his head, poured a cup of tea with a depressed face, and drank it by himself. It seemed that he was depressed to the extreme. "Princess, please go on." Yan Mo Li did not seem to see the general, side eyes with the stranger on the flower path. Mo Shanghua nodded and ignored Yan Beiqing. He lowered his head and took a silver needle to disinfect it with special alcohol. Yanmoli also took off his clothes. Not for a while. The upper body will be naked, exposed to the air. The white skin and firm muscles all show full male charm. If an ordinary woman is afraid, she will blush and heart beat on the spot. But at this time, the woman in the room is a stranger. Yanmoli's skin bag is just a person in her eyes. When Yanmoli undressed, she didn't lift her eyes from the beginning to the end. Only after she had eliminated the poison of the silver needle, did she lift her eyes and sweep it. She concentrated on applying the needle. Yan Beiqing, who didn't look at him, couldn't help turning his head and staring at him. CMO Shanghua so calm. Face not red, heart not jump in Yanmoli behind the needle. It is clear that Mo Shanghua is not half interested in him, but his heart of vinegar jar, or can't help but overturn the moment, the whole chest acid to the extreme. The strength of the teacup pinched lightly between the fingers can't help but increase slightly. The anger at the bottom of the eyes keeps beating, and it seems to burst out. As soon as the power of the hand was out of control, a very thin crack spread slowly on the wall of the teacup, and a very light click also sounded. Because the voice is very light, is paying attention to the needle of Mo Shanghua. Yanmoli, two people did not notice, but the bodyguard, hearing and seeing, immediately turned his head. Eyes in Yan Beiqing hands of tea. Yan Beiqing's angry eyes were all hidden in the depths of his pupils. With a slight tilt of his slender hand, the teacup seemed to fall to the ground with a sound of bang. It broke with the sound, and there was no small crack. Yan Beiqing's bad face drooped in an instant. He was very agitated and waved, "Come on, come in and clean up." The bodyguard first looked nervously at the flowers on the street. Seeing that there was no influence, he turned around. The suspicions in his eyes had been replaced by disgust. He said in a low voice, "Prince, it's not suitable to enter at this time. The princess has something to say. She must keep quiet." When Yan Beiqing saw the guard's attitude, he wanted to be annoyed, but he glanced at the Moshang flower, who was still serious about needling. Then he flattened his mouth and nodded reluctantly. "I don't speak, but you'd better keep your mouth closed." When the bodyguard heard the words, he just didn't dare to be angry and didn't care. Yan Beiqing's eye light sweeps over the broken teacup pieces on the ground, and the dark color at the bottom of the eye becomes thicker. After all, it was too impulsive and almost out of control. If found, years of hard work will be wasted. With this in mind, he simply closed his eyes and forced himself not to look. It's not hard for Mo Shanghua to do this. In addition, she is very devoted. Therefore, when Lu Zheng comes back, she just takes back the silver needle. At that time, the poison on Yanmoli's body had been slowly flowing away, and the poison that must happen every day came ahead of time today, and it was more painful than before. He fell uncontrollably over the bed. His face was in pain, and the veins on his neck were springing up, which showed the pain he was enduring. "Dr. Liu, and the bodyguard, please help me hold him down." Seeing that Yanmoli's eyes were red gradually, he seemed to be in a state of unconsciousness. The flower on the street put away the silver needle, like this. Lu Zheng knew the poison was so bad that he nodded his head and pressed Yanmoli's two legs. The guard hesitated for a moment. Seeing the flower on the street looking solemn, he didn't dare to delay. He came forward to help hold the rest of his arms. Yanmoli, who was still restless, was completely unable to move at this time. But the tightly wrapped gauze on his body began to dye a little blood again. Mo Shanghua then calmly took out a small porcelain vase, took out a pill from it and sent it to Yanmoli's mouth. Because of his unconsciousness, Yanmoli's mouth was very tight. "I'm afraid it's hard to break it." Mo Shanghua just took a look, then released a hand, and gently touched the left side of his jaw like a dragonfly. His tightly closed mouth opened, and then she took the opportunity to put the pill into his mouth and supported his jaw. Yanmoli's throat rolled, and the pill was directly forced to swallow. At the same time, Mo Shanghua did not forget and neatly put a sweat towel in his mouth, so as not to bite the tip of his tongue in pain. After a smooth movement, Mo Shanghua did not stop. Instead, he continued to take out the silver needle and put it on Yanmoli's shoulder. Lu Zheng looked at the array in Mo Shanghua's hand, frowned slightly and suggested, "The poison has been suppressed for many days. and it seems to be coming fiercely. The princess's technique is inevitably delayed. Is it better to change a faster method? Mo Shanghua eased his hand and took another silver needle. He said lightly, Your Highness has been tortured by this poison for many days, and his body has been very weak. If you change another method, the effect will be too fast. I'm afraid Your Highness's body will not be able to bear it. On the contrary, this method is the most stable, although it is a little slow. Lu Zheng's eye color is dim. After a few seconds, he is puzzled. What the princess said is reasonable, but it's the Wei Chen's thoughtlessness. At the end of the words, the flower on the street nodded, and the silver needle in his hand fell down again at Yan Mo Li's side waist. On the bed, Yan Mo Li's face was twisted, his forehead and even his neck were almost broken, and he was exposed. Although his body was under the control of the bodyguard and Lu Zheng, he still kept shaking. At first sight, he was suffering to the extreme. However, Mo Shanghua's needling action was not slow. When he glanced at Yan Mo Li, who was in great pain on the bed, he was indifferent. He had no pity or worry. He just looked at the endless indifference like a dead man. It took half an hour for Yan Mo Li's shudder to subside, and his twisted face returned to a normal state, but his eyes were still closed, and his mind was not clear. Lu Zheng and the bodyguard, who helped to press Yan Mo Li, are sweating. Seeing this, they can't help but relax and retreat to one side. However, they are still as ruddy and tired as they were at the beginning. It seems that this is just a very simple thing for her. In fact, it wasn't very difficult for her. After all, she already has this antidote. What she is doing now is only superficial kung fu, and give him some simple lessons. Princess, the decoction Lu Yu ordered has already been boiled. At that time, Qinya stood outside the bead curtain which separated the inner room from the outer hall, quietly reminding, Bring it in, put it aside, and by the way you stay. The flower on the street is receiving the silver needle, and raising its voice. Qinya came in with the medicine, and asked her to wait by the flowers, and she continued to do what she was doing. After taking back all the silver needles, he began to re-medicate the wound on Yan Mo Li's body. The action in his hand was not as slow as it had just been. The speed increased a lot. He cleaned and bandaged Yan Mo Li's wound quickly, although she helped him to sew up the wound that day. It was just to ensure that the wound would not get worse. At this time, if there were no stitches from the previous days, I'm afraid it would be more than blood. After finishing these, Mo Shanghua took the things in his hand, got up to make way, and looked sideways at Qinya waiting beside him. This is to remove the remaining poison in his body. You need to take it quickly. Qinya, you can feed him. Qinya looked down at the medicine bowl full of bitterness in the bowl, and then at Yan Mo Li, who was pale on the bed. Even though she didn't want to, she was still a good man. Yes, I know. With that, he took the medicine bowl and sat in the previous position of Mo Shanghua. With the help of the bodyguard named Help, in fact, with the help of surveillance, he obediently gave Yan Mo Li the medicine. Mo Shanghua went to Yan Beiqing for leisure. Looking at the broken porcelain pieces at his feet, he could not help but gently pick his eyebrows. How drunk are you after drinking tea? How can you break such a teacup again? Yan Beiqing didn't look in the direction of Mo Shanghua all the time. At this time, he saw Mo Shanghua come back with a wonderful look, and his face turned black. My princess in front of me is with other men. Wang Gan is very hum. Speaking of the back, he didn't know what he thought of. His earlobe was slightly red, like he was under a magic spell. He couldn't say those words. But don't want to. Mo Shanghua to this kind of thing is also extremely slow. He didn't understand. Her heart will really don't understand. Face ignorant. What do you want to say, a man? Say words to why so coy, just let go. You woman. How stupid you are. What rotten wood. Seeing this, Yan Beiqing felt even more angry. He could not help biting his teeth and swearing in a low voice. The flower in the street was even more confused and needed further inquiry. Suddenly, a sound of broken porcelain bowl and a woman's exclamation came from the bedside just a few steps away. The flower on the street jumps in her heart and turns around to see that the medicine bowl in Qinya's hand is broken for some reason. The porcelain pieces of medicine juice fall on the ground, and the unique bitter and astringent taste spreads to the whole dormitory. Your Highness! For some reason, the bodyguard's face changed greatly and exclaimed. Then he suddenly drew out his sword with one hand and put it across Qinya's neck. Qinya's face turned white with frigid sword across her soft and fragile neck. Her body trembled, almost one leg was soft, and she sat on the ground. Fortunately, the flower on the street passed in time and helped her. The flower on the street is also the reason that makes several people's face change at this time. I saw that Yen Moli, who was originally pale because of lack of qi and blood, had turned black for some reason. His nostrils, ears, slightly closed eyes and lip petals all gushed out a small amount of blood. His chest fluctuated weakly, and his life was not long. The indifference on the flower surface of the street fades away without a trace, and the dignified color surges into the eyes. The bodyguard was already very angry and said without any scruples, "Well, how can I be such a little girl and dare to do harm to your highness under my eyes?" Originally, the princess also participated in it. Presumptuous. The flower's face on the street was suddenly cold, as if to the freezing point. Can I just say that this poison has been solved? How can you tell that this is my maid, or that I have done something? At this time, Yen Beiqing quickly came over, and saw that his face was not good, and his face was not happy. I don't know what happened, but you want to commit a crime here? Is it dead to be my king? Words, as if more is to guard arrogant anger. The bodyguard was so shocked by several people that he could react. He was angry and had to take back his sword. My subordinates are impolite. The cold color on the flower's face on the street is not abetted. He pulls the frightened Qinya behind him, and looks at the bodyguard like that. He doesn't say a word and doesn't want to be cured. No one noticed that at this time, Qinya's original color of fear did not know when to become dull. Some silly stood behind the flowers on the street. Until Emo Shanghua pushed her, she just reacted. Her eyes were instantly excited. She wanted to say something to Emo Shanghua. However, seeing Emo Shanghua's dignified expression, she swallowed her words again. She didn't dare to make trouble here. She nodded and went down in a hurry. The bodyguard saw that the flower on the street was reluctant to move, and Yen Moli's look was more and more ugly, so he couldn't help but feel anxious. It's very obvious that it looks like this. After biting his teeth, the bodyguard lowered his head and tried to make himself annoyed. He looked more sincere. Prince and Princess, my subordinates were just in a moment of anxiety, so I made a rude remark. I hope my subordinates will forgive me. I'm here to make amends for you too. Before the flowers on the street spoke, Yenbei City over there softened her face and said, I don't care about you because you are also the protector. Princess, take a look at your brother. I don't think he looks very good. Speaking of the back, his brows are tightly together, seems to be extremely irritable. Emo Shanghua Lianmu glanced at Yen Emoli's face, then nodded slightly, sat down again and grasped his wrist to feel the pulse. The bodyguard is so impetuous that even Qinya dares to move. If she doesn't move fast, Qinya's life will be in danger. If he doesn't know the consequences, he will be more arrogant these days. The bodyguard saw this in the heart this just slightly relaxed tone. The vision still tightly locking Yen Emoli body. Emo Shanghua turned a blind eye to the guard's eyes and felt her pulse with great devotion. After a while, her eyebrows suddenly twisted, and her face was unprecedentedly solemn. Lu Zheng sees this, in the heart also can't help a jump, took Yen Emoli's wrist from Emo Shanghua's hand, also closed eyes to feel the pulse carefully. A moment later, his face also changed abruptly, and he could not help whispering, How could it be so? I'm afraid it's true. Yen North City is surprised full-face perplexity. Exactly how? The bodyguard also looked eagerly at the flowers and willows on the street. The flower on the street didn't speak, but her eyebrows were still locked tightly. The dark color in her eyes was clearly out, erratic, and seemed to be lost in meditation. Lu Zheng looked at Yen Beiqing's look and wanted to answer, but the door suddenly knocked at this time. The knock on the door was very urgent, as if something big had happened. Before Yen Beiqing had time to ask, the voice of the young man who always followed him in the past sounded from the door. His voice was more urgent than the knock on the door just now. Lord, it's bad. Madam Nan's heart attack is bad. I'm afraid it's bad. I'm crying to see you for the last time. What? Yan Beiqing's face suddenly changed. He quickly opened the door and grabbed the boy's collar. What's the matter? Make it clear. The boy wiped the sweat on his forehead nervously and spoke as smoothly as possible. The doctor said that Mrs. Nan's cold weather in recent days has not been good, and she is worried about it. I'm afraid it's not good. Mrs. Nan's side is very hard. She must let the slave come. I have a message to say goodbye to you. Farewell? What is she saying? I will never allow her to have an accident. Go and find all the best doctors in the city. Yan Beiqing's face was anxious, and his eyes were worried. As soon as a word fell, he couldn't help rushing out of the door. Even Yan Moli, who was on the line of life and death in the room, ignored it. If there were any ministers present at this time, they would certainly criticize Yanbei City. But at this time, the people in the house were still in a critical situation, and no one could pay attention to them. And the bodyguard there also don't want to care about the side, only eager to ask again. Your Highness, in the end, what's the matter? The flowers on the street seem to want to be in the spirit, and have no time to pay attention at all. Lu Jing next to him pondered for a while, and then replied in a deep voice. The poison has been suppressed for several days. It should have been weakened a lot, so the medicine is mild. But at this time, the situation has changed. The toxicity is extremely fierce. At this time it is a sign of antiphagy. Is there any way to save it? The bodyguard was shocked and asked in a hurry. Lu Jing glanced at the flowers on the street, raised his hand and shook her eyes. Seeing that she had come back to herself, he said, Princess, although my medical skills are not very good, I have been studying this poison for several days. I have some understanding. Why don't you and I join hands to see if there is a way to save it? For eyes opposite, Mo Shanghua clearly in Lu Zheng's eyes to see a bit of side look. Immediately understanding came over, with the nod way. The following things need us two to complete together, others can't be present. You also retreat. Well, I'll go down and guard outside. If you need anything, I'll tell you. When the bodyguard heard the words, he was not suspicious and answered them directly. Seeing this, I can't help but be surprised. This bodyguard is very defensive to everything in the palace. She thought that persuading him would waste some kung fu, but Yan Moli obviously can't wait any longer. She is thinking that if she can't do it, she will just give him a slap, but she didn't expect it to be so simple. However, the more suspicious she was. It's just that it's not the time to think about these things. Creak, a sound of closing the door. She also did not care about the other side. Busy will acupuncture bag quickly unfolded, while taking out a few, while the rest to Lu Zheng. He is now highly toxic. Attack heart. Heart and lung has been damaged. Quick, you and I 2 division of labor, with acupuncture method to protect the heart. Lu Zheng also has this idea in his heart. When he hears the words, he takes the silver needle and together with Mo Shanghua, applies the needle to Yan Mo's naked chest. Mo Shanghua and Lu Zheng only discussed medical skills together before, but if they really cooperate to save people, it's the first time, and it's such an important event. If they are careless, Yan Moli will die. At that time, they will be in great trouble. Mo Shanghua thought of this layer, and her hand movements were more cautious. Before each injection, she would make eye contact with Lu Zheng to confirm that they had done it correctly. So was Lu Zheng. Both of them are very skillful in medicine, and their cooperation is quite good. After a cup of tea, the needle has been applied. It's just a bad plan to protect the heart. It can only last for 3 hours. At that time, the poison on Yan Moli's body was not restrained. He was still rampant on his body. He just stopped the blood flowing from the 7 orifices. But how to detoxify next? Let Mo Shanghua also make a mistake for a while. After a long silence, she said in a low voice, Now he has 3 kinds of poisons in his body, and they have been rampant. Especially that one is extremely overbearing. The poisons you used before have been almost eliminated. For a long time, they can't be compared with that one. I'm afraid it's difficult to fight with them. If others were present at this time, they would be shocked to hear the words of Mo Shanghua, and their jaw would be dislocated. Yan Moli's poisoning is well known. But what everyone knows is only one kind of poison. How can there be 3 kinds now? It's too far from the truth. In fact, Mo Shanghua did not expect that things would turn out like this in the end. In the past few days, she has been deliberately dragging Yan Moli to be tortured by the poison for a long time. When there is no longer time to delay, she comes to rescue him. When detoxifying, she also deliberately stimulates the poison and slows down the speed. She can be familiar with the medical skills of flowers. Why is detoxification so troublesome? What's more, she has an antidote in her hand, so she doesn't need to bother. Others may not understand, but Lu Zheng is clear. She before that, in fact, are useless. The only role, just let Yan Moli extremely suffer. Mo Shanghua thinks that she can't get revenge now, so she torments him well. Of course, it's not enough just to do these. Since Yan Moli threatened her and provoked her to follow Yan Moli, she naturally wanted to develop a pair of side poison to add more materials to him. The poison she came from was very careful. She would not be able to resist the poison he had been poisoned before, and the dormancy period was very long. If she didn't meet a flower named Iris, she would never have an attack in her whole life, and the flower only existed in Yuzhou and other border areas, not in the imperial city. She has already calculated everything. When she wants to revenge in the future, she can stimulate the toxicity of the poison at any time, so as to achieve her goal. In the last bowl of detoxification medicine, it was her good poison. She calculated all these very well, but she never thought that there was a kind of poison in Yan Moli's body, which was very deep. If it wasn't for her poison today, she would not be able to detect it. And this poison is extremely powerful. Her poison is warm, and the previous poison is almost scattered. I'm afraid it can't compete at all. If you can't find a way to solve it, Yan Moli will die, but this is not the time for him to die. Moreover, she is more convinced that Yan Moli is afraid that this poison has been known for a long time, and deliberately conceals it. She is afraid that just waiting for this step will force her to help him untie the poison that has been bothering him for a long time. He really didn't care for himself, and he thought of such a way to die. Thinking of this, I can't help but scratch a light mockery in my flower eyes, and my face is very condensed. Lu Zheng also frowned and worried. After a while, he asked Mo Shanghua, "Can you show me the third poison?" This third kind is just under the flowers. Lu Zheng's medical skills and talent are not inferior to those of Mo Shanghua. What's worse is only the age of his birth. Therefore, he can see the means of Mo Shanghua at a glance. Mo Shanghua was also aware of Lu Zheng's medical skills, so she was not surprised and didn't pretend to be stupid, so she simply took out the remaining poison. I added some stems of descending the center to the poison, and the other herbs were iris, green sword snake venom Q. Lu Zheng listened to the words of flowers on the street, took the poison, looked down and sniffed. After a while he put the medicine back and asked, "Is this poison solvable?" Mo Shanghua gently lowered her chin and took down a pearl hairpin from her hair. She gently pressed the pearl on the hairpin between her fingers. The pearl the size of a small nail was divided into 2, and a red pill appeared in it. Lu Zheng some surprised looking at the flowers on the street. "Why do you want to close so close?" Mo Shanghua's face did not change and handed over the antidote. "This is not urgent, and the medicine is very expensive, so I only made 1 pill, which is easy to lose elsewhere." Originally, she was also careless. Lu Zheng couldn't help laughing. He felt inexplicably that this kind of flower on the street made him feel like he wanted to be close. But this is not the time to think about it. Mo Shanghua explained to him the use of the antidote, and the nature of the drug just now. He also listened attentively and thought carefully. "What's your opinion?" See him thinking for a long time, Mo Shanghua just asked quietly. Lu Zheng shook his head and frowned. "Your Highness's body is now empty to the extreme, and he is entangled by these 3 kinds of poisons. At present, the 3 kinds of poisons are fighting with each other. I'm afraid it's not good, especially the poison that you and I haven't found before. I'm afraid it's the most domineering, powerful medicine can't be used, and slow ineffective." Lu Zheng thought, and Mo Shanghua naturally also thought. This want to hear Lu Zheng no other good way, see no, she can't help but fall into silence. After a long time, She raised her head again and spoke slowly. I can't wait any longer. After a long time. I'm afraid that she will swallow the other two flavors and form a new poison. I'm afraid it will be more difficult. I still have some roots and leaves of jianghe, but the effect of the roots and leaves is very little. Supplemented with baoxin pills I made earlier, they can barely hang my life. After a pause, the color of her eyes gradually deepened, and it was obvious that she had already determined this method. I'm trying to find a way to force these 3 kinds of poisons to all parts of the body with strong medicine, and break them in each part. Lu Zheng heard the words, but his eyebrows didn't stretch half, and his worry in his eyes was even more serious. If you want to force him to another place, 2 arms are the best, but I'm afraid that if you move a little slower, that arm will be terrible. There is no better way now. But Mo Shanghua didn't mean to waver. But I haven't said it early. There is another reason. I don't have a clue about how to separate the 3 kinds of poisons at present. The previous common method is not effective enough. If I change several main drugs, the property will change greatly. If it is. Speaking of the latter, she was already murmuring to herself, as if her mind had sunk. If we use external force to lead, we can save a lot of trouble and have fewer hidden dangers. When he was thinking about it, Lu Zheng suddenly thought of something. He took over the conversation and said, if there is a person with excellent internal skills to help, this method may be feasible. The flower eyebrows on the street are slightly frowning, and the face shows the color of incomprehension. After all, she comes from the 21st century, where she believes in science. Internal power does not exist in that world. She has just come to this world, so she naturally does not understand it very well. At that time, Yin Emoli, who was on the bed, hummed softly. His brow was tight and his face was in pain. He seemed to wake up at any time. Mo Shanghua grabs Yin Moli's wrist and makes a diagnosis between the wrists. The tiny frown suddenly turns into a ball. The toxicity deteriorates. There's no time to explain. Then follow this method. You will direct me in a moment. With that, he quickly went around to the table beside him, put his pen on the paper leaf, wrote a book, put all the herbs on the paper, and then added a prescription. When the book was finished, he quickly went to the door and called Qin Lin and Qinya over. First he told Qinya, Qinya, take this list and go to my room as soon as you can. Take all the medicines on it. Especially that one flavor. Don't forget it. Go as soon as you can. In a hurry she spoke very fast. After that, she thought of Qinya's situation. She was afraid that she didn't understand the shape of her mouth. When she was about to say it again, she saw that Qinya just glanced at the guard with a sword in fear. She saw that he just frowned and didn't move. Then she quickly took the list. I'm going now. Said then blessing body, walking in a hurry toward the boudoir of the flower on the stranger. Qin Lin, you should follow this prescription and quickly go out to prepare the medicine. When you come back, you don't have to care about the cooking time. You just need to fry it. The faster, the better. Sent Qinya, Mo Shanghua put a prescription into Qin Lin's hands. Qin Lin's ears are still easy to use. He immediately nods and runs out of the house. How is your highness? Mo Shanghua busy end. Bodyguard then gather up to ask urgently again. The bodyguard tried to do harm to Qinya, but Mo Shanghua didn't give him a good face. He said with no expression, I'll try my best to cure him. You can keep on guarding. Except for the servant girl, you can't let a mouse in. With that, he went back to the room and closed the door. Cough, cough. The South Crane is holding a bloody handkerchief in one hand and covering his chest in the other. He coughs violently. But I haven't seen her for a few days. Her face is as pale as paper and she is dying. Yen Beiqing came in a hurry. When he saw that Nan he looked like this, his face became more ugly. He rushed to the front of the collapse and hugged her in his arms. Nanner, what's the matter with you? I'm here. I'm here. You don't have to be afraid. Every move is carefully nervous, mixed with countless worries and tenderness. It seems that the woman in his arms is the treasure of his life. He can be infatuated with this woman. Seeing this, the maid doctor in a room knelt down all over the place, and no one dared to say more. Nanha leaned against Yen Beicheng. Yen Beicheng immediately took his hand and said, I know that. Don't think about it. You will be fine. You will always be my concubine, so you must live well. If you can do this all the time looking at such a pair of eyes full of tenderness, Nanhi's heart can't help beating again. After a trance, he regained his mind again. He pinched his palm and told himself that it can't be like this all the time. It's all her fantasy. Thinking about this, she turned away from her eyes and continued to play the role of a dying man with tears in her eyes. Lord, what is my virtue and what can I do? Cough. Before she finished, she covered her lips with a handkerchief, frowning and coughing. When I took off the handkerchief, the plain white embroidered handkerchief had already been smeared with prickles, and the pale lips were stained with blood. Yen Beicheng's stable face suddenly changed. The doctor I asked you to go to. His close friend quickly Putong knelt down and said, Go back to the Lord, and the people who sent him said, But all the famous doctors have been invited here for a long time. I can't find any better one. Then go and find Lu Zheng for me. Go quickly. Yen Beicheng carefully embraces the south crane in his arms, while holding a red cheek because of anger. The little boy dared not lift his head and spoke cautiously. Prince, Dr. Lu is treating his second highness with the princess. I'm afraid. Yen Beicheng's eyebrows leaped, obviously unable to suppress his whole body's anger. He was on the verge of wind and rain. Seeing this, Nanhi gently pinches his soft and weak hands in his palm. Yen Beicheng immediately looks at her and tries to suppress her anger. Lord, don't be angry. It's good to let me talk to you alone. After a pause, her voice could not help but take some of her daughter's grievance state. I haven't seen you for several days. I want to talk with more. Talk more. Yen Beicheng was silent for a long time, and then he nodded helplessly. His action was slow and heavy, as if he had made a major decision. Everyone get out of here, and roll far away. If you quarrel with Wang and Mrs. Nan, you don't need your tongue and ears. In this way, is to give up as Mrs. Nan said? If so, this is the last word of Nanha. They were not stupid either. When they heard this, they immediately understood it and hurriedly backed out. Everyone hid far away. They didn't even dare to stay at the door. As everyone knows, at the moment when they retreat, the dark guards have quietly gone into the dark place and carefully checked everything around them. If anyone dares to eavesdrop, he will die immediately. In the house, Yen Beicheng's face turned away in an instant. A pair of deep and pitiless eyes gazed at Nanha, with a low voice, and just like two people. What happened in the end? So eager to set up such a stratagem to ask him to come, if it is not urgent. It really cannot be said. Seeing that Yen Beicheng was changing so fast, Nanhi didn't have much emotion on his face. He turned over, and came down from the bed. He felt for a while on the carving fence, pressed a mechanism, and a slight sound came out of the bed. She went forward to lift half of the sheet and quilt together, and a deep corridor suddenly appeared. It's urgent, sir. Please talk as you walk. Even though things are already burning, she is still calm and orderly. Yen Beicheng nodded his chin, and turned directly into the secret passage. Nanhi followed him, and went into the secret passage. By the way, he closed the mechanism between the beds, and the bed immediately restored its original appearance. At that time, Qin Lin and Qin Ye had already sent in what Mo Shanghua had told them. After Lu Zheng had handled it carefully, he put all the things on the table beside the bed. If necessary, he could get the things on the table with a little raise. Yen Moli was sitting cross-legged on the collapse by Mo Shanghua and Lu Zheng. He was still half-dressed. The difference was that Mo Shanghua also sat cross-legged behind him. When you gather internal forces in your fingers, the qi you gather must be pure and warm in the depths of the elixir field. You can't have too much or too little. There are few mistakes. Not only internal forces, but also elixir field will be damaged. Your Highness can't stand the toss. Lu Zheng was sitting in front of Yen Moli. His face was rigorous, and even his former mild manner was diluted a lot. Mo Shanghua gently nodded, but did not immediately do according to the words, but put the acupuncture bag on the side of Lu Zheng's body. You'll need acupuncture later. I've soaked this silver needle with liquor and astragalus before. It's good for the acupuncture later. You can use this for the time being. Lu Zheng doesn't waste time either. He simply takes it over and looks at Mo Shanghua. They both nod to each other to show that they are ready. Then the flower on the street dozed off slightly, put his hands in front of the dantian, and slowly felt his inner power in the dantian. Lu Zhenggong's method seems to be simple, but in fact, it also requires talents with rich internal power. It's extremely dangerous, just like Yan Beicheng. But Mo Shanghua specializes in close combat and poison medicine. Internal power is something unique in the world. She has not practiced for long. Although she has excellent talent, her internal power is still not mellow. At the moment, Yan Beicheng is deliberately supported. Even if she doesn't have enough internal power, she has to survive. At most, the risk is greater. She believe in yourself. When Lu Zheng saw that her face was not relaxed, he could not help but worry. After thinking about it, he slowed down his voice and quietly guided her. Hold your breath and concentrate. Your heart sink into the elixir field, inner harmony. Mo Shanghua collects all of Lu Zheng's words into his ears. As his words begin to adjust his current method of use, the internal force in dantian is just in disorder, and immediately returns to the cage. Then it's like peeling off the cocoon. A trace of a very methodical start to slowly separate, such as the onion layer by layer peeling process. With Lu Zheng's guidance, Mo Shanghua was really successful. Although it took some time, he also successfully concentrated his internal power between his fingers. When she saw that the time had come, she opened her eyes quickly, turned her fingers quickly, and quickly put a little bit above sinew. Then she distributed her internal power to the whole palm, and slowly carried it from sinew to jianyu with the power of the palm. At this time, her hand movement was a meal, and she raised her eyes to look at Lu Zheng. Lu Zheng had already pinched the silver needle in his hand. When he saw Mo Shanghua looking at him, he immediately realized that he would drop his eyes and apply the silver needle to the place of Baiyu corresponding to sinew. He was skilled in the array and had no mistaken strength. Then he quickly nodded to Mo Shanghua. Mo Shanghua is also aware of this idea. She swims her palm down and slowly slides between her arms. When she reaches the bend of her arms, she suddenly stops, turns her palm into a finger, turns her hand over, and then moves a little between her arms, and then at her elbow. In this way, the qi acupoints would burst open. In addition, Lu Zheng was assisted by silver needles to seal the acupoints. In this way, he was forced to Yan Mo Li's left forearm without clearing the remaining poison. After finishing these, Mo Shanghua did not dare to rest for a moment, and then continued to force the other two poisons to other places. The latter two poisons are all strange poisons. It's hard to take them out alone. Now they are fighting in Yan Mo Li's body again. It's quite hard to separate them. Many times, the flowers on the street are sweating and their eyebrows are tightly twisted. Seeing this, Lu Zheng raised his hand to take a porcelain vase, took out 2 pills with detoxification effect, fed them into Yan Mo Li's mouth, and then pricked the acupoints with silver needles to promote the development of medicine. Although the Jiedu pill could not solve the 2 kinds of poisons, it also succeeded in stopping the fight between the 2 kinds of poisons and resisting the drug properties of the Jiedu pill. As a result, the pressure on Mo Shanghua's side was also reduced. After a while, he separated the 2 kinds of poison and forced them into the rest of his legs. Yan Mo Li never had a half reaction, just a thin sweat between his forehead. It can be seen that he was unconscious, and his pain was no less. Mo Shanghua doesn't care whether he is in pain or not. After all, this is her enemy. In her eyes, as long as he doesn't die. Now the most important thing is to lead the internal force back into the body. Lu Zheng continued to give guidance in a low voice, while Mo Shanghua listened to his guidance and slowly led the internal force back to his body. Originally, with the previous experience, the process was smooth, but when it came to condensing the scattered internal forces again, it was quite laborious. After a long time, the internal forces could not be successfully brought back. His forehead was full and white, and his palms were sticky. She can clearly feel that the internal force in the dantian has been in disorder because it hasn't been coagulated for a long time. If it goes on like this, it will be greatly damaged. Seal my back whole block. In a hurry, The flowers on the street are eager to open their lips. Lu's face suddenly became aware of the seriousness of the matter. He quickly went around to the back of Mo Shanghua and stabbed her acupoints with a silver needle. Mo Shanghua's thin body trembled slightly, and then there was no response. After a long time, she opened her eyes again. It was clear that her eyes were as clear as glass, but the bottom of her eyes was as quiet as an ancient well, with no mood fluctuation. Such appearance, nature can't see whether there is injury in the end. Lu Jingmao inside worry even more, busy ask away. You how is an internal power disorder, quick let me see. Say want to catch the hand of Mo Shanghua, come to diagnose personally. Mo Shanghua directly retracted the wrist and gently shook his head. I'm okay. You can't drag it here. You remove the remaining poison between the wrists first, and I'll get rid of the poison I laid. Mo Shanghua's action made Lu Zhang's hand shake in the air. Now it's really embarrassing. Seeing Mo Shanghua open the topic, he nodded. Okay, that's it. Say press down the depression in the heart. Turn over to come down from the bed. Wu Yan Mo Li's body again on the bed. The flowers on the street also collapsed. Take out the antidote and melt it into water. Then take out a special candle and burn it on the candle. Wax is ordinary red wax, but this wax core is extraordinary. It is made of moshang flower mixed with jus, Schisandra chinensis, nanyue and other medicinal materials. It is burned into a candle and quenched on the silver needle. It has the effect of clearing away heat, dampness and cold. It also has its own effect of inducing poison. After quenching, she dipped the silver needle in the hydrated antidote for a while, and then she inserted the silver needle according to the order of acupoints. Then, she waited for the toxin to come out of her body. Lu Zhang's prescription is much simpler because it only cleans up the remaining poison. He only needs to prick his fingers with a silver needle and take out the blood with the remaining poison. The entrance of the corridor seems narrow, but the interior is spacious enough. There is no problem for them to walk side by side. If in the past, Nanha was afraid that she still wanted to walk with Yan Beiqing side by side, but now, she just keeps the etiquette and always takes a step behind him. As he walked along, he said in a deep voice, Lord, the people who escaped from the central government a few days ago somehow went to Yuzhou City and ambushed and killed many of our people. Some of them fled into the city and took some refugees from rebel areas. Now they have gathered in the west of the city and have quarreled with the city guards. It seems that they are going to break through. And the Chenghuan pavilion of young Master Hua was set on fire. Now the situation is not clear. This is a big gift for me. Yan Beiqing's eye color deepened instantly, like a little ink dripping into a spring, rendering up a dangerous dark ink layer upon layer. In order to protect the imperial city, there is no doubt that the whole Yuzhou city is under the control of the emperor or other people. Even his close friends are from the imperial city. Today things seem simple, but they are not. He remembers that there seems to be Yan Moli among the bodyguards in the west of the city. If he deliberately killed a few vagrants by means of the vagrants, he could be stabbed to death with the pen of Yan Guan. If Yan Moli had a serial strategy to summon him back to the imperial city, it would be a real event. Yan Moli is really an enemy. Nanha continued. Several counselors are waiting in the martial arts school now. They just wait for the master to take charge of the overall situation. I see. Yan Beiqing gently lowered his chin and kept walking at his feet. In a flash, his mind was clear. He was like weaving brocade, laying out a detailed solution. When he got to the door of the secret room, he stopped and said in an emotionless voice, You go back first. If there is any change, you should be flexible first. Yes, I do. South Crane did not hesitate should come down, as if to restore the former obedient little follower in front of him, without half a cent, now as a leader of the cold pride. Yan Beiqing didn't pay attention to her changes. He just heard a light hum, and then carried her into the secret room. In the secret room, all the counselors had gathered at this time, waiting for Yan Beiqing to take charge of the overall situation. As for the South Crane, since Yan Beiqing left her sight, her unwilling and resentment in her eyes showed a bit, and her delicate cheek, which had no expression, seemed to be in a strange state. Lu Zheng saw that the color of blood from the pinhole between Yan Mo's 5 fingers had changed from black-red to bright red. He frowned and took off his sword eyebrows. Then he calmed down. The remaining poison has been cleared. You need me to do it here. Emo Shanghua shakes her head, and her eyebrows are full of Zhuang Ning's state. The silver needle she used this time was also specially made. The middle of the silver needle was hollow. At that time, the same black blood beads began to flow out along the hollow part of the silver needle. With the passage of time, the blood gradually turned bright red. The color of Prudence on the flower's face on the street just reduced a bit, took off the silver needle, cleaned up the dirty blood on Yan Mo Li's leg, and constantly felt for Yan Mo Li. Although the poison has been removed, there are still some remaining poisons in other parts of the body. The flowers on the street are whispering, but half of them are anxious. Lu Zheng didn't think much about the reason why Emo Shanghua always refused to show her emotion. He only said in distress, "I've just had some trouble. The remaining poison needs to be treated slowly. What's more, the remaining poison must have been unable to compete with the remaining virulence in the Second Highness's body. If you let the remaining poison go, it will devour the remaining poison. At that time, I'm afraid the poison will become more and more uncontrollable, so it's really impossible to solve it," said the eyes cage on a layer of sad color, a pair of very headache appearance. The flower on the street gathered eyebrows and lowered her eyes, and her calm eyes were constantly shining. For a long time, she suddenly lifted her eyes and opened her lips calmly to the extreme. Who said that she wanted to solve this poison for him? Lu Zheng eyebrow had a jump, full of eyes surprised. Don't understand? Emo Shanghua's eyebrows and eyes were still calm. He set up a bureau, sent the king away, and deliberately asked me to give him treatment. Most of the poison was shameful. It took a lot of trouble. I just wanted to get rid of the poison. Unfortunately, Emo Shanghua didn't like to be restricted everywhere. After a pause, she stood up, picked up the rest of the slightly reduced grain, added some other hanging herbs, and said, "This poison, I don't want to give him solution. Qin Lin, go to boil these herbs with ginseng for 100 years, and send them immediately." "How is it, Your Highness? How is he now?" As soon as Emo Shanghua and Lu Zhenggang opened the door and walked out, the bodyguard hurriedly came forward and asked eagerly. At that time, it was dusk. Emo Shanghua glanced at the bodyguard lightly, then directly bypassed the bodyguard and continued to walk out. The bodyguard just wanted to stop Emo Shanghua and ask for a clear answer. Lu Zheng stood in front of him. When Sheng explained, "Your Highness is okay now, but you can't see anyone now. When I go back, I'll ask the medicine boy to come and serve him. At that time, I'll let the medicine boy lead you in to visit. Remember, don't disturb me at this time." The bodyguard's face flashed some suspicious color. "Just want to continue to ask." Lu Zheng also turned away. "Half an hour later, I will let the medicine boy come." The bodyguard didn't understand the medical theory either. Now Lu Zheng said that, looking at their calm state, he thought that they didn't really dare to tell Yan Moli what to do. So he just sighed, sat down cross-legged at the door of the room and continued to guard. The flower on the street has been busy for 3 or 4 hours, and the tired state can be seen between the eyebrows, and the blood color on the lips is a little less. As soon as Qinya saw her appearance, she hurriedly stepped forward and put a thick cloak on her body. "Princess, you see, your eyes are almost red. Are you very tired now? Are you hungry? If you don't, go back and have dinner first, then go to bed immediately." Emo Shanghua raised her hand and rubbed her temple. She had been strongly supporting her nerves. Then she relaxed a little bit. "It's a little tired. Let's go. Let's go back and have a rest. As for dinner, I don't have to go anymore. I don't have any appetite now." After a pause, her face suddenly solidified. "By the way, the Lord suddenly came out in the middle of the way. Do you know what he went to do?" Qin Yajing lowered his head to tie the cape with flowers. Hearing the words, he said without raising his head, "The princess cares what he does. The prince manages everything every day. Maybe he is going to do something important." In his words, he was quite angry. "Why are you so angry?" On the street, eyebrow tip tiny pick, in the heart faint feel wrong, like what bad things happened in general. Qinya changed her flat mouth, raised her small face and said, Princess, it's your body that matters now. You'd better go back with your maidservant and have a good rest. Said around to one side, two hands holding the flowers on the road, walking forward. It's not very comfortable under the dazzling eyes on the street. I didn't think much when I saw it, so I nodded as if I had nothing. However, just after 2 steps, her step stopped again. She grasped Qinya's wrist tightly in one hand, which made her eyes a little bigger, dignified and surprising. Qinya, your ears are okay? Lu Zheng face a shock, subconsciously block. If in this way to give him a drink, then he is good, the body will be greatly lost. Mo Shanghua moves in his hand, and suddenly he takes a cold and heartless color. What's with me? My purpose is to save his life. With that, he passed him directly and handed Qin Lin a package of medicine. Qin Lin took the medicine and went to do it. Lu Zheng was completely stunned. In front of him, he had never seen this merciless flower on the street. Now when he saw it suddenly, he could not help but feel it suddenly. In a moment, his heart was a complex mixture. In the end, what kind of gratitude and resentment can let her this indifferent, as if all things in the world cannot attract her smile, so merciless? Or that's what she was. Just thinking about it, Mo Shanghua has started to unseal the last poison acupoint in Yan Moli's leg, and lead the poison back to its original position. Lu Zheng sees this, also just came back to God, busy come forward to help together. The process of leading the poison back is much simpler than before. As long as you untie the sealed acupoint, the poison will swim back by itself, and it's no trouble to get there. Not long after that, Qin Lin took Wakai's boiled decoction, and Mo Shanghua simply and rudely fed Yan Moli, who was still unconscious, and then let the poison devour the remaining poison of Feng Kai wantonly. When the remaining poison was swallowed, she would not hesitate to consume her internal power again, and forcibly suppress the poison, making it lurk in her body as before. The difference is that the poison would not have been attacked if it had not had a chance before, but now Mo Shanghua deliberately did something in it, and the poison will attack once every 2 months at the beginning of the month. At the time of attack, the 7 orifices bleed, the limbs twitch, and the whole body aches violently, which is absolutely worse than death. This is the interest that Yan Mo calculated that she would spend money with him. How is it, Your Highness? How is he now? As soon as Mo Shanghua and Lu Zhenggang opened the door and walked out, the bodyguard hurriedly came forward and asked eagerly. At that time it was dusk. Mo Shanghua glanced at the bodyguard lightly, then directly bypassed the bodyguard and continued to walk out. The bodyguard just wanted to stop Mo Shanghua and ask for a clear answer. Lu Zheng stood in front of him. When Sheng explained, Your Highness is okay now, but you can't see anyone now. When I go back, I'll ask the medicine boy to come and serve him. At that time, I'll let the medicine boy lead you in to visit. Remember, don't disturb me at this time. The bodyguard's face flashed some suspicious color. Just want to continue to ask. Lu Zheng also turned away. Half an hour later, I will let the medicine boy come. The bodyguard didn't understand the medical theory either. Now Lu Zheng said that, looking at their calm state, he thought that they didn't really dare to tell Yan Moli what to do. So he just sighed, sat down cross-legged at the door of the room and continued to guard. The flower on the street has been busy for 3 or 4 hours, and the tired state can be seen between the eyebrows, and the blood color on the lips is a little less. As soon as Qinya saw her appearance, she hurriedly stepped forward and put a thick cloak on her body. Princess, you see, your eyes are almost red. Are you very tired now? Are you hungry? If you don't, go back and have dinner first, then go to bed immediately. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and rubbed her temple. She had been strongly supporting her nerves. Then she relaxed a little bit. It's a little tired. Let's go. Let's go back and have a rest. As for dinner, I don't have to go anymore. I don't have any appetite now. After a pause, her face suddenly solidified. By the way, the Lord suddenly came out in the middle of the way. Do you know what he went to do? Qin Yajing lowered his head to tie the cape with flowers. Hearing the words, he said without raising his head, The princess cares what he does. The prince manages everything every day. Maybe he is going to do something important. In his words, he was quite angry. Why are you so angry? On the street eyebrow tip tiny pick, in the heart faint feel wrong, like what bad things happened in general. Chinya changed her flat mouth, raised her small face and said, Princess, it's your body that matters now. You'd better go back with your maidservant and have a good rest. Said around to one side, two hands holding the flowers on the road, walking forward. It's not very comfortable under the dazzling eyes on the street. I didn't think much when I saw it, so I nodded as if I had nothing. However, just after 2 steps, her steps stopped again. She grasped Chinya's wrist tightly in one hand, which made her eyes a little bigger, dignified and surprising. Chinya, your ears are okay? Sue is too tired, spent to now just after knowing reaction come over. As usual, Chinya always looked at her mouth when she was talking, in order to know what she said. But just now, she has been bowing her head to tie her clothes. Without raising her head, she can connect her words without thinking about it. It must be that it has completely taken effect and made her recover her hearing. Thinking of this, she grasped Chinya's wrist hand, but she couldn't control her excitement. After all, just 2 days ago, she had reported that she might not be able to cure well. Now she is not only cured, but also has the effect ahead of time, which makes her not excited. There was a slight pain in her wrist, but Chinya didn't say a word. Her dissatisfaction and resentment disappeared. She only bit her lip, and tears gradually filled her eyes. She choked and said, That bastard bodyguard was ready when he wanted to kill me. But I'm afraid that I'll affect you. That's why she didn't say. My brother is happy for me. It's a happy thing. If you are crying, you can't say it. Emo Shanghua raised her hand to wipe away Chinya's tears from the corner of her eyes. She raised her eyes and looked around. If you don't tell me, I almost didn't remember. Qin Lin, has he recovered? Brother, he went to the dining room to urge people to prepare dinner for you. Mentioning this, Chinya's eyes could not help but let out a bit of worry. Princess, slaves have recovered, brother. He should also be able to recover as I do, right? To tell you the truth, I dare not promise you that after all, you two have different physical conditions and diseases, but you can rest assured that you are at least 70% sure. She said, Yes, it's less than 3 days now. My servant's ears should have recovered by luck. My brother will be fine. Why, Miss Qin's ears have not been able to hear clearly before? Chinya's voice has just dropped, and Lu Zhengkai, the bodyguard, has just been sent to follow him. He is surprised to hear Chinya's words, but he doesn't ask directly. After careful consideration, he opens his mouth politely. When talking to such a gentle person, even Chinya, who is usually a little hot-tempered, can't help slowing down her intonation and smiling. To tell you the truth, Dr. Liu said that the ear disease of the slave girl was born with. It's not that she can't hear clearly, but that she can't hear at all. Now it's good. I've never seen it before. Lu Zheng's eyes were filled with surprise. After a long time, he asked tentatively, Don't you know lip language? Wait, what did you just say? Up to now, Emo Shanghua's reaction came later, and her warm face suddenly appeared a huge shock. Is it okay now? Qin Yigang wanted to answer, but Emo Shanghua suddenly pinched her, but she said to Lu Yui, There are still affairs to deal with in our hospital, and it's dark now. If you stay too long, it's hard to avoid criticism. If you are curious, it's not too late to talk tomorrow. Lu Zheng saw that Emo Shanghua said so. He thought of it later. He was so shocked and curious that he bowed his hand and said, It's because I didn't think about it well. I'm going now. Don't be surprised. There is no color of blame on the flower face on the street. He just shakes his head and turns to leave without saying a word. Lu Zheng sees this after seeing Emo Shanghua walk out for a distance. He just turns around, but he hasn't walked out for a few steps. Suddenly, a heavy object falls to the ground behind him. Then Chinya cries out in panic, Princess, princess, what's the matter with you, princess? Lu Zheng's heart suddenly trembled. He turned around in a hurry and saw that the flower on the street had fallen to the ground. Chinya sat on one side and leaned half of her body on her lap. She couldn't see clearly. Lu Zheng's heart almost jumped out and ran to him. When he got close to him, he could see clearly that the flowers on the street, his eyes closed, and his mouth bleeding were bad. And Chinya, who who was still learning how to treat the comatose patients, patted her face gently. Now she saw Lu Zheng coming, so she looked up. "Dr. Lu, come and see the princess." Lu Zheng's heart is only more urgent than Qinya's. Her voice is falling, so he squats down, grabs the flower on the street, a white wrist that can't hang on his side, and closes his eyes to feel his pulse. Su is concerned about chaos, his mood in a mess. It took a long time to calm down. Diagnosis of pulse phase. But the pulse, for him, was more terrifying than not being diagnosed. It turned out that she was still suffering from a serious internal injury. The internal force in the Dantian area seemed to have gathered again, but now it was scattered and rampant, pounding the Dantian and stirring the internal force. If it cannot be cured, the internal power will be lost in the light, and the heart will be injured in the heavy. This should have happened when she was still in the treatment. But she didn't reveal any of the pain of internal injury from the beginning to the end. She has endured it until now. How did she do it? No matter how he did it, Lu Zheng was worried and frightened to the extreme now. After he diagnosed his pulse, he immediately picked up the flower on the street without thinking about it, and quickly walked to the Wu Yuan. Qinya didn't care about anything at this time. She trotted to follow him. "I always have to take the road of incense, but now I only need incense to get to Wu Yuan." At this moment, Lu is holding the sleepy flowers back to the yard. The whole yard girl suddenly surrounded, chirping. Qinya Ting's anger, but also understand that at this time must not drive people away, otherwise, they must think that Lu Zheng and Mo Shanghua have an affair. Out of the yard to nonsense. As a result, she directly lowered her face and said in a deep voice, "The princess has fainted outside. If you don't wait and make trouble here, don't you expect the princess to be better?" The face of a few wenches instantly white. Busy will head very low, a word also dare not say again. The Qi in Qinya's heart just obeyed a little, and then ordered, "I'll wait here less for a while. The Imperial Dr. Lu has something to need and can't call someone to help." "Yes." The girls were deterred by Qinya and didn't dare to say much. They answered quickly and stood in the bedroom waiting. Seeing this, Qinya hurried to the bedside, and her face was full of worry. "What's the matter with Dr. Lu? What happened to the princess?" Lu Zhengzheng took the silver needle to tie the flowers in the street. He didn't dare to be distracted, so he shook his head to signal Qinya to be quiet. Seeing this, Qinya had to clench her lips and pay close attention to Lu Zheng's movements. A drop of bright red blood appeared in the middle of the people who saw flowers on the street. Not to mention Qinya. Even Lu's face was a condensation, fixed on her eyes. For a long time, the long and light lashes of the flowers on the street just flickered, slowly opened, and the look in the eyes was clear. "You wake up. Princess." See her open eyes. Lu Zheng Qinya, two people almost at the same time voice, are all around the bed. Mo Shanghua didn't immediately answer the two people's words. She propped up her bed and half sat up. Then she took her left hand with her right hand, and felt her pulse. "You don't have to look at your current situation. It's terrible. I'm afraid you can't do it by yourself. I have to help you." When Lu Zheng saw this, he didn't stop it, but his sword eyebrows were tightly wrinkled together. He was obviously worried. Mo Shanghua still insists on her own pulse. And then the result is exactly like what Lu Zheng said. Her eyebrows can't help but slightly frown. She gently purses her lips. For a long time she has no words. Originally, she planned to make a diagnosis and treatment by herself, but now that she has been seen by Lu Zheng Qinya, she has no reason to keep it secret. When she just treated Yin Moli, she didn't treat herself. She had already missed the best opportunity. Now she wants to reorganize her internal power. With her current physical condition, she can't make up her mind without the help of a skilled person. The flowers on the street think about it, then they think of this layer. The willow eyebrows are tighter, almost twisted into a ball. Seeing that Mo Shanghua was in such a state, Qinya was anxious, so she quickly asked, "Princess, what's the meaning of Lu Yui's words? What's your body like?" Mo Shanghua gave her a reassuring look and comforted her. "Dr. Lu will take care of me, and you will put your heart in your stomach." Lu Zheng also nodded. "Princess, now there is no more suitable doctor than me." Before Qin Yashin had time to put it, There was a noise outside the door. Then Yan Beiqing's close friends rushed in directly, and he followed 2 friends behind him. When he entered the house, he looked inside for a while. After giving a gift to the stranger, his eyes directly fell on Lu Zheng and said, "Dr. Lu, Madame Nan is ill. All the doctors who come to see her say that they can't do it. The Lord appointed the servant to ask you to go there. Madame Nan can't delay. Please leave as soon as possible." Lu Zheng's sword eyebrows suddenly twisted, turned his eyes to see the flowers beside him, and said, "Listen to you, there must be a good doctor there. I'm afraid it's inconvenient for me to go there. In other words, you can see what the princess looks like today. Can't I abandon her?" The boy noticed the pale face of the flower on the street, and he was surprised. What's the matter with the princess? How can she look so ugly? Seeing his appearance, Qinya felt extremely affected. She turned cold and said, "You have good eyesight, so you can see that the princess is not good. Mrs. Nan is the king's favorite. There are a large number of people who will serve her well. We can only ask Dr. Lu to move." Being ridiculed by Qinya in such a strange way, the boy was half angry, but he was embarrassed. Look at what the girl said. If those doctors are good at it, how dare they come here to harass the princess? After a pause, he looked at Dr. Lu and knelt down directly. "Dr. Lu, Madame Nan is going to die. You are the most skilled doctor in Yuzhou. Besides you, I'm afraid no one can save Madame Nan. Besides, this is what the Lord asked you to do. If you don't go, I'm afraid the slaves' heads will be damaged." Lu Zheng smells speech. Complexion immediately a coagulate. Really want to not? The boy busily opened his mouth and explained. All the famous doctors in the city have seen it. The Lord is red-eyed. Now he only guards the South Lady and refuses to let go. After a pause, the boy turned to see the flowers on the street, looking like he was about to cry. "Princess, this is a fatal event. Or would you like to invite the doctor next to you later?" Before the flower on the street answered, Qinya hummed coldly and said angrily, "The whole doctor of Yuzhou is almost with Mrs. Nan. Where do you want us to go?" "Qinya." The flower on the street whispered, and her eyes were quiet. She could not see any emotion. "Since it's a fatal matter, then the imperial Dr. Lu will follow me. As for me, please tell the Lord, and call the doctor who is free from Mrs. Nan to have a look." Lu's face sank a little, and his eyes worried even more. "But your body, you. Dr. Lu, you'd better go as soon as possible." "I'm fine here." A word is not finished. Mo Shanghua will directly interrupt his words. Expressionless enunciation. Attitude is very firm. The little boy was relieved. Seeing that Lu Zheng had no intention of getting angry, he hastened to say, "Dr. Lu, you also know the temper of the Lord." Referring to Yan Beiqing, Lu Zheng's face just loosened a little. He reluctantly got up. When he turned around, he couldn't help whispering, "Take this first, it will help you to get sick. You can know the specific effect as soon as you ask." Said will be a small porcelain vase into the hands of Mo Shanghua, and use the mouth to say 4 words. "Wait for me to come back." Then he had to leave with the boy. And just now all sorts of, including Mo Shanghua vomit blood faint, have been arranged by Yan Beiqing in the dark to protect Mo Shanghua in the eyes of the dark guard. Such a big thing, of course, was to inform Yan Beiqing, so one of the dark guards quickly and quietly avoided many dark guards in the house, and went to the place of Nanha. After saying hello to the dark guard outside the hall of Nanha dormitory, the dark guard went to the hall smoothly. Unexpectedly, only Nanha met her, and Yan Beiqing was not seen. "Sister Nanha, the Lord is not here." "How?" Comfort thought over the words and asked as politely as possible. At this time, the South Crane always looks slightly different from before, and the whole person looks calm. Therefore the Dark Way hesitates and asks. A few days ago, Yinbei City punished Nanha. The real reason is that he didn't let out half a cent. It's common sense that the secret guard didn't know. Something happened. I just had to set up a situation for the Lord to get away from His Second Highness. The Lord is still dealing with things. The South Crane's face was quiet, and he began to explain in an orderly way. After a pause, he asked casually, "Are you here? What's the matter with the princess?" At present, she is in a state of blockade. The news from outside can't come in. Naturally, she doesn't know anything. Darkway nodded but didn't tell the truth directly, only said, "The Lord has ordered, if the princess has something to do, then immediately report to him. The Lord's orders, subordinates dare not follow. Sister Nanha, do you know where the Lord is now? I'll go to find him and report to him." South Crane Peach blossom like delicate eyebrows and eyes quietly across a touch of dark color. The face shows helpless color. The specific location of the Lord, I do not know now. I am afraid that I cannot help. Darkway brow immediately tightly ring up. Seem to be very distressed appearance. Look at you, what's going on? Seeing this, Nanhi turned his face and let out a little curiosity. Darkway neither denied, also did not admit, be regarded as acquiescence. The South Crane face immediately took the color of thinking, pondered for a while, then tentatively asked, "You have been following the princess, is it not that the princess has an accident? If not, how can it be so urgent?" "Sister Nanha is so smart that I can't hide it from you. It's true that something happened to the princess. Since Her Second Highness came out of the room, the princess vomited blood and fainted. The Lord told her to take good care. If there's anything wrong, she should report it immediately. That's why my subordinates are so anxious." The Darkway sees that he simply can't hide it, so he simply tells the whole story. "So it is." The South Crane nods gently, there is no unexpected color in the eyes. "So you go back to see the princess's condition first. I continue to wait for the Lord here. After the Lord comes back, I will tell you immediately. The Lord is pure and clear, and I don't think you will be blamed." This. Darkway doesn't dare to agree to come down directly. The speech is quite embarrassed of state. After all, that last time of affair he also remember clearly. Seeing this, the South Crane's eyes and eyebrows softened and turned a little annoyed. "Don't you believe me?" Then, without waiting for the Dark Guard's reply, she continued, "I love the Lord and the whole Dark Guard camp knows it. But don't forget that I'm also a member of the Dark Guard camp. I'm not stupid enough to suppress the news and make the winner unhappy." After hearing this, the Secret Way can't help thinking that although Nanhi has some thoughts about Wang Yi, he has never used his spirit to do things. If she really suppresses this matter, when the Lord blames him, he will tell the truth, but he doesn't have to be afraid. Thinking about this, the Darkway also put a few distractions in his heart, so he quickly lowered his head. "Sister Nanha, if you're not there, you're just afraid that the Lord will blame you, so you're hesitant." But with Sister's words, the subordinates also understand a lot, so it's according to Sister's words. South Crane nodded, complexion slightly eased. "I will try to contact the Lord as soon as possible. You go." "Yes." The Darkway bent over and gave a salute, then quickly retreated. This Darkway front foot just left, back foot. The small SI then took Lu Zheng to sleep outside the hall. In front of the gate are the two maidservants who are arranged by Yan Beiqing to watch Nanha. When they see Lu Zheng coming, they stop them. One of them looked at the four of them and said, "The Lord has ordered that only Dr. Lu will be allowed to enter. The rest of them will not disturb Mrs. Nan." "Yes. Dr. Lu, please." See small C wait for a person to retreat. Maid just opened a door, let open away come. Standing at the door, you can see only 1 or 8 elegant screens of pear trees, and the strong smell of medicine that only people who take medicine all the year round can have in the house. More importantly, it's a weird atmosphere. Lu Zheng couldn't help sinking in his heart. He stood at the door for a moment, and then stepped into the room. It seems that something is really wrong. Now he really has to go and have a look, and he has to go and return as soon as possible. The medicine is not enough to help the flower turn. He has to help her. Lu Zheng just walked for a short time. The flower on the street felt that the dantian was another internal force, and his qi and blood suddenly choked up, and a big mouthful of blood suddenly spewed out. However, she just took the handkerchief to wipe the blood stains on her lips, but there was no big wave on her face, as if she had just coughed a few times. Qinya was scared out of her wits. She knelt down beside the bed in excitement. "Princess, I can't die. It's okay. Flowers on the street will flow into the throat of the blood to swallow. Just lightly spit out a word." Tina sniffed and worried. You've just vomited blood twice. How can it be okay? Don't cheat me like this. You wait. I'll go and find Dr. Lu. Before I got up, I was grabbed by Mo Shanghua's wrist and pressed back. Don't go. Tina turned her head and saw the cold eyes and pale lips of the flowers on the street. Her eyes suddenly turned red. Princess, you are like this. I really don't understand why I have to go to Luyue. Madam Nanan, I tried to set you up. What's the trouble for you? It's none of my business whether she's dead or alive. Mo Shanghua sees that Qinya is really puzzled. To avoid her impulsive action, she explains. I let Lu Zheng go because he is gone. He will definitely mention my situation to the king. I want to tell him what I want to do with that little fellow. Qinya, I don't know what I think now, but I just want him to know now. Qinya listened to don't understand this love affair. She is small wench, and the heart is also unclear. After thinking for a long time, she said, Does the princess want to test the sincerity of the prince? Mo Shanghua was silent for a long time. Then she lowered her eyelashes and covered her eyes. Nan, he told me before that the relationship between her and Wang Yi is not simple on the surface. I just want to see how it is. In this way, I can deal with her more easily in the future. Her mind now is more complicated than the internal force in the elixir field. Qinya just called it a tentative word. It was just a sudden movement in her brain that she said it. In fact, she didn't understand it very well. She just said it when she wanted to. Now Qinya asked this question, but she couldn't answer it, so she said it casually. Don't want to. Qinya still automatically attributed her words to her. This stone heart finally cracked, in the heart happy and worried. But you are not taking your own life in the block? Just now, Dr. Lu said that he must help you. Mo Shanghua took in her heart, and threw the bloody handkerchief aside. Her face recovered as usual. Don't you forget my medical skills? I know the princess's medical skill naturally, but I still don't feel at ease. Qinya nods and shakes her head. She is worried. I don't know if I'm reliable. Otherwise, I'll call the doctor you asked him to bring here, and let them treat you together. Dr. Lu, if you can't come back, don't worry about it. Your injury should be serious. Even if they come, I won't let them treat them. Mo Shanghua shakes her head gently, pauses for a while, and then explains. What I suffer from is internal injury. I can't spread it to others. If I am diagnosed by them, I will be in trouble. I can do it myself, and you just have to listen to me now. Said toward her cast a reassuring look. I believe in themselves, you have to believe me. Although the words were mild, Qinya knew that she couldn't resist the firm character of Mo Shanghua, so she only nodded. Okay, princess, you can tell me, but I will do my best. Mo Shanghua sees this, then also sync the mind. The complexion is calm of command. Now, go to take out the ginseng slice in my cabinet, and this sparse attack pill. You also took ground powder, mix with lily powder to make together. Although Lu Zheng has long expected that things are not simple, now see South Crane actually good standing in front of him. Or can't help but wonder, South Lady, aren't you? The South Crane complexion is steady, calmly opens a mouth. I exactly how unimportant, the important thing is, you must accompany me to play a play with Wang Yi. Lu Zheng's sword eyebrows slightly twisted. His heart jumped inexplicably, and he felt a little uneasy. He pondered for a long time and said, I'm all ears. Mo Shanghua took a pill given by Lu Zheng, and then put the ginseng tablet in her mouth. She sat on the bed with her knees crossed, and put her hands on her knees. She began to regulate her internal power. In order to avoid waiting for what happened no one to take care of. Qinya will be far away in the side, nervous looking at the flowers. It's not easy for Mo Shanghua to regulate her internal power. Besides, she has a lot of internal damage now. Before she has time to cure it, she has to suppress her disordered internal power by herself. In this way, she has to work harder and harder, until midnight. For a few hours, the flowers on the street were all sitting in front of the collapse. Just when Qinya thought that she would sit like this all night, she naturally stretched her hair and thin eyebrows, but suddenly frowned tightly. Her body trembled 2 times, and then she fell on the couch like a jerk. Princess, princess! Chinya quickly steps to the front of the collapse and half lifts the body of the stranger's home. She just saw that the flower on the street had been in a coma, and her face looked the same as just now, but the inner circle of the lip petal had been stained with red and dazzling blood, which she had endured for a long time. Chinya explored the nose of the flower on the street, and suddenly her face changed greatly. At this time, the flower on the street was not as steady as before. She put the flowers on the bed and ran out of the room. Qin Lin had already come back from the dining room. After Chinya explained everything to him, he kept at the door. Seeing that Chinya didn't say hello at the moment, he ran out so rashly. He felt bad in his heart and rushed into the room. Seeing the situation in the room, his face also changed greatly. He also went forward in a hurry and explored the nose of flowers in the street. He felt that he was still breathing. Then he was a little relieved. Thinking of Chinya's appearance just now, he probably guessed what Chinya was going to do in such a hurry. He tried to make herself calm. He simply went back and closed the door again. Before turning back to the flower on the street, he just stayed in front of the collapse. His eyes were fixed on the flower on the street, so that she could not be surprised again. And hear of Chinya, in her heart no now this point, please don't come to the doctor. Then straight to the South Crane Yard. At that time, Lu Zheng, who had been invited by him, was waiting far away from the dormitory. He was sleepy with his eyes. When he saw Chinya's rush, his eyebrows jumped violently, and he woke up 7 or 8 minutes. He was too busy to stop him. Unexpectedly, Chinya ran so fast that he almost didn't stop him. He ran into him directly. They both fell to the ground because of the collision. Oh my aunt, what are you doing? Xiaoxi takes a deep breath, pushes Chinya away and starts to complain. Before he touched Chinya's hand, she got up by herself. When she saw his face clearly, her pretty face suddenly became cold. Get out of the way, I want to see the Lord. The young man quickly beckoned the 2 people behind him to block the way. There was no gap in the past. Miss Chinya, it's not that I don't want to let you go. It's just that the Lord has given a death order. If we disturb the Dr. Lu, we can't afford to pay for our lives. In other words, I let you in, but there are 2 maids in the door. You can't get in. What do you want? Tell me about it. I can get through to you. This little fellow is obviously not a dull person. Seeing that Chinya is very angry, he doesn't conflict with her. He is still a good-natured explanation. Chinya sneered, but she didn't even try to break in. She directly sneered. No wonder everyone in the house says you are smooth. Now I see you, and you really live up to your reputation. The smile on the boy's face was stiff for a moment, and he spoke unnaturally. What do you mean, girl? Think for yourself. What I said just now is not for you. Chinya was even colder, so she didn't leave any affection. Naturally, you are considerate of me, and you are also worried about the princess. The princess asked you to tell the prince earlier, and send some doctors to serve him. But now it's midnight, and the princess is sick and unconscious, but you don't even see the shadow of half a doctor. You really have to work hard. The boy's face was a little ugly, but he thought that Chinya was a stranger, and that he was the one who was responsible for the loss, so he could only bear the unhappiness in his heart and compensate with a very smooth smile. The girl said this, but she wronged me. Although I brought Lu Yui over, the Lord didn't let me wait at all, but I didn't even see the Lord's face. How can I talk with him? Chinya snorted coldly, and her face was almost relieved. Mrs. Nan's disease is a disease. Our princess is the most respected hostess in the mansion. According to the rules, it should be a top priority. If you really care, you should let people report to the prince. How can the prince always respect and spoil the princess? I didn't expect that Chinya would tell me what happened in my heart. The boy's face turned black, and his fake smile was not there. He said in a deep voice, Miss Chinya, I know you are wasting my time and learning so skillfully, but I can't let you in if you say flowers. Chinya's anger suddenly surged to her heart, glared at the housekeeper, raised her voice and said, You are presumptuous. Now the princess is still in a coma. If you delay your illness, you can afford to pay for your dog's life? Just now, he was told by Chinya that he lost his face. He didn't want to talk in his dress. He said without a smile, If you go in and disturb the king's favorite lady Nan, it's also a death, and you'll lose money. In contrast, if you disturb the princess, you'll be loyal to your duty. I think the king will take it lightly. Qin Yajiao's cheek is red, and she gives the boy a hard look. Then she wants to rush in regardless. The boy asks the other two to stop him, and all of a sudden there is a lot of noise. Who's making noise outside? Silence AI hall suddenly sounded noise. In the inner hall of the South Crane eyebrow cannot help but see you. To the empty hall of words. In the hall, where no one should have answered, a dark guard, dressed in tight sleeves, jumped down from nowhere and leaned slightly in front of Nanhe. It's the little girl beside the princess. It seems that she wants to break in. Nanhe's light eyes deepened slightly, but there was nothing different on his face. It's just a little girl. You don't have to worry about it. If you really break in, just do what you should do. The dark Wei face has no facial expression of point head. At the end of the speech, the whole room disappeared quietly. Feeling that the house was completely quiet, Nanhu sat down beside himself, carrying a celadone cup, and his lips slightly raised. How can I not follow the Lord's orders? I'm afraid you didn't train your slaves well in ordinary times. This point intruder, but want to kill unforgivable. Mo Shanghua himself will send his right-hand man to the door. How can she so easily let her go back unharmed? And outside Qinya, regardless of the hard rushed past, the little guy stood on the side. See, also don't stop, but directly to the two are entangled with Qinya. Make a wink. The two people just stopped Qinya from going in, but now they got the look of a little boy, so they had no patience and pushed her away. Qinya, after all, was a woman with a very thin constitution. Naturally, she could not stand the push of two men in their prime. She stepped back for several steps, and then fell to the ground. The little boy came to Qinya and said coldly, "Miss Qinya, if you don't go anymore, don't blame us for being rude. The floor is paved with bluestone." Qinyatan fell down with all kinds of meat and vegetables. His knees hurt. He even struggled to stand up. I think he broke his flesh. Qinya glared angrily at the boy for a long time, but she did not say a word. Instead, she struggled to get up and limped to the two boys who were blocking the way. The princess is still in a coma, and life and death are uncertain. He is not afraid of death. Are you not afraid? If you don't have his guts, get out of here. The two boys are obviously not as good as that boy's general mind. Qinya says that they are all in a meal and look at each other hesitantly. Taking advantage of this gap, Qinya quickly covered her ears. Her thin body nimbly drilled through the gap between the two people. Bearing the sharp pain of her knee, she limped and trotted towards the direction of the dormitory. What are you doing in a daze? Why don't you hurry back? When he saw this, he was very angry. A few people see this just returned to God, hurriedly pursued. As everyone knows, when several people approached the bedroom hall, the dark guard's eyes hidden in the dark were all over them. His right hand almost synchronously touched the short sword at his waist, and his murderous spirit suddenly appeared in his eyes. Qin Yasi didn't notice the danger. She still bit her teeth, and went to the South Lady's bedroom. At the moment, there is only one idea in her heart, that is to take Lu Jing back anyway, and the princess must not have anything to do. Who's talking outside? The dagger in the dark Wei's hand was about to be taken out, but at this time, the maid who had been guarding outside the bedroom suddenly came out, followed by Lu Jing with an urgent face. The dagger in the dark Wei's hand was put away at this moment, and his breath was hidden again. As before, he watched this side like a shadow. No one knows. As long as it's a little later, a woman will die here, and even the body can't be found in the capital. After hearing this, Qinya stepped forward and looked directly over the maid to Lu Jing behind her. Then she quickened her pace and knelt down in front of him with a puff. "Dr. Lu, I beg you. Please go to see my princess." "Miss Qinya, get up quickly." Lu Jing noticed Qinya's limp when she was just walking. He quickly stepped forward and lifted her up. "I see you seem to have suffered some minor injuries on your leg. Don't kneel more. By the way, you are in such a hurry, but what's wrong with the princess?" Speaking of the back, his palms are unconsciously slightly tightened, his face worried. "Princess, she vomited blood again after you left. Now she is unconscious. and I don't know what's going on. Su has just suffered a lot of grievances. At first sight, when Lu Zheng comes to rescue, Qinya has some grievances in her heart, and her eyes are slightly red. Don't worry. I'm more worried than you. Come on, I'll go with you. Seeing this, Lu Zheng could not hide his worries at the bottom of his eyes. He would follow Qinya to avoid the two maidservants. Looking at Lu Zheng's posture, the young man who chases after Qinya stops them. He looks back and orders them in a low voice. He retreats. The little boy just stepped down, but the maid who followed Lu Zheng changed her face. Dr. Lu, I'm only ordered to accompany you back to get things. If you leave at this time, don't you want my life? Lu Zheng thought about it, took off a sign from his waist and said, It's urgent for the princess. I have to see the situation first. In this way, you can go to the traditional Chinese medicine hall of the mansion to get what you need, and then you can stay there for a while. After seeing the princess, I'll go to find you, and I'll go back together. I can't see anything unusual. The maid thought about it carefully. Although she knew that this method was feasible, she could not help hesitating when she thought about the consequences of being found. Qinya was in a hurry. Seeing that the maid was reluctant to speak, she grabbed Lu Zheng's sleeve and dragged him forward. I can't wait, Dr. Lu. Please follow me first. Please do as Dr. Lu says. After a while, she was a long way away. Seeing this, the maid didn't dare to shout and chase. She was punished because of the noise, so she had to compromise. When Lu Zheng goes back with Qinya, Qinlin almost can't bear it. He wants to go out of the house to find a doctor. At this time, he suddenly sees that Qinya is coming with Lu Zheng. He stands up and signs to Lu Zheng to treat the flowers. Lu Zheng's eyes only stayed on Qinlin for a moment, then fixed his eyes on the faint flowers behind him, and went away in a hurry. Even just all the way trot caused wheezing have no time to calm down. They can't wait to grab the flower soft wrist, droop eyes pulse. Qinlin and Qinya are all nervously gathered around the bed, trying to restrain their breathing for fear of disturbing Lu Zheng. As he expected, the situation is far worse than when he left. Just now it was just internal breathing disorder. Now she must have adjusted herself. As a result, she did not control it properly. As a result, her true qi leaked out and flowed into the meridians. She had already scattered around the meridians. If she had been dragging on for a long time, she would have rushed into the heart. By that time, she would surely die. Thinking of this, Lu Zheng's heart trembled again, and his complexion was complicated. At present, the best and quickest way is for a person with profound internal power to help her sort out her internal power, and then lead her back to the Dantian, and then he will help her pass the acupoints with silver needles, and the pills to recuperate internal injuries, and then she will get better. But he doesn't know how to do it. If we use other methods, absolutely not. That method is really dangerous. If you don't control it properly, your internal power will directly rush into your heart and lead to heart failure. Through the half-open screen window, Nanhe looks at Lu Zheng, who has already gone far with Qinya. It's a pity that there's a touch of sadness in his eyes. His eyes are deep and beautiful. So it's time to invite the one back. Thinking of this, she closed the woodcut screen window, went back to the bed, opened the secret way and went in. He walked in the dark road for half an hour before he went out from another exit. At that time, she was already outside the city gate. Outside the city, which should have been dark and peaceful, it was already different from the past. There were people in chaos and the bodies of guards in the city. However, it seems that the battle has passed for a while. At this time, there are only some guards and doctors in the city who are cleaning up the remnants. South Crane carefully avoid guards, along the mark left by their people along the way. Rhyme up lightness skills, find outside the city. When we arrived at a remote field in the suburb, we saw a small group of dark guards in dark clothes wrestling with more than a dozen disabled people. And the situation was very obvious. The group in dark clothes was obviously better than others, and the disabled people were just the end of the crossbow. The South Crane passes the Yenbei city, not far away from the scuffle. The deep color of his eyes is covered at this time. And then he mentions the lightness skill. Lord. Nanha lowered his eyes, clasped his hands and opened his mouth respectfully. but his thin body was still as straight as pine and bamboo. Yan Beiqing covered his cheek in most of his cloak, and his thin lip opened slightly. What's the matter? Such a cold and emotionless voice makes Nanha feel different. She is very curious. If he knows the current situation of Mo Shanghua, what will happen? Although she thought so in her heart, she had no flaw in her face and said, "The person who arranged for the princess came to report that the princess had vomited blood and was in a coma after she healed that one. Now the situation is unknown." Yan Beiqing's originally deep and cold eyes suddenly burst into waves, like ice and storm eyes suddenly fell on Nanhe. "What is the situation unknown? My king is not here. You can't even do this thing well? What about Lu Zheng? Did you send him?" "Lord, you forget. You told me that Dr. Lu had to stay at my place for one night to convince people." The South Crane's face remained unchanged and responded calmly. No one can see that her two hands on the side of her body have been tightly clenched into fists uncontrollably, and her heart has been depressed for a long time, and the pain has come out uncontrollably. She is entangled with her like silk thread, and she can't get rid of it. The funny thing is that she just thought she would never feel again, but she didn't expect it to be like this. It hurts. Well, this is also a reminder to her that she must not forget the pain of the flowers in the street. Even she did not know. Her drooping eyebrows had been dyed with a bit of self-mockery. Fortunately, Yan Beiqing didn't pay attention to her expression. Now he began to see her pale face and incomparable weakness in his mind. Thinking about this, his pupils couldn't help shrinking violently, and he was worried more than ever. However, he did not blame the South Crane, but looked at the same Xuani people behind him. "Mo Ling, clean up." "Yes." Mo Ling had no objection and bowed down. As soon as Mo Ling's voice fell, Yan Beiqing's body rose like a hurricane. In a flash, it fell on a fast horse and disappeared. After he returned to the house, he didn't have time to change his clothes, so he directly broke into the window of Mo Shanghua's room. Fortunately, at this time, Lu Zheng had invited Qin Linqinya out. Even so, Lu Zheng was surprised, and the silver needles in his hand almost pricked the wrong acupoints. Where did Yan Beiqing manage so much? He took off his cloak and quickly stepped to the front of the collapse. Why is she still sleeping? What's the situation now? Lu Zheng fixed his eyes and saw that it was Yanbei City. He was not surprised. He put down the silver needle and leaned over his luggage. Then he said, "The princess has suffered internal injury. Now her internal breathing is disordered in the meridians." After a pause, his face was a little happy. Wei Chen was just about to make a bad plan. Since the prince came, it's better to help the princess comb her internal power first. In this way, Wei Chen can continue to treat. Good. Yan Beiqing did not hesitate to come down, did not think about any worries. When Lu Zheng heard the speech, he was stunned. After thinking about it, he said, "Mr. Wang, I haven't finished my words just now, so there is a certain risk. If you are careless, your internal power may be damaged together. If it's serious." Before the end of the sentence, Yan Beiqing interrupted directly. His face was calm, and he didn't see any fear. He only had the worried color that could not be covered up in his eyes. "Don't say it. At the moment, I just want to know how to do it." Even half of the consequences are not considered. Is really not care about their own body, or seriously care too much about her. Lu Zheng couldn't help but have such a question in his heart. His heart was obscure and complicated. After a long time he realized it. He quickly suppressed his confused thoughts and said, "Okay, please sit cross-legged behind the princess first. Concentrate on your luck, 6 in 1. Yan Beiqing nodded slightly, listened to Lu Zheng's words, sat cross-legged behind the flower, and began to concentrate on his luck. He put a small part of his powerful internal power into the flower, and controlled it to comb the flower's internal power. If Mo Shanghua is awake at this time, she will feel the burning pain in her body, which is gradually alleviating. Just like the clear spring water, she slowly caresses every inch of Dantian meridian, and the discomfort is greatly reduced. In the end, Yan Beiqing had deep internal power, and was extremely intelligent. He could understand the meaning at a little. In only half an hour, he successfully adjusted the disordered breath of Emo Shanghua and forced the blood stasis out of her body. Yan Beiqing leans Emo Shanghua's soft and thin body on his chest, takes a sweat towel and gently wipes off her lips. Only then can he spit out the blood stained by the congestion. The anger and indifference between his eyebrows and eyes dissipate completely at this time, as if he was such a gentle and meticulous person. Even Lu Zheng on one side is surprised. The Yanbei city he had seen before was indifferent and merciless. When did he see him so gentle? Did he really? Is it very affectionate? Thinking of this, Lu Zheng began to smile bitterly from the corner of his lips and gathered his look in his eyes. Prince, I'm going to give the princess a needle. Well. Yanbei city Lightum carefully put the flower back on the bed, the position in front of the bed, but still closely follow the eyes of the flower. Looking at the flower on the street with closed eyes, he was stabbed with silver needles by Lu Zheng. It was just like stabbing Yan Beiqing's heart. It made him feel a pain in his heart. After seeing it for a while, he moved his eyes. He was afraid that he would stop Lu Zheng and hurt her. When it was getting light, Lu Zhengkai put away the last silver needle. How? Although Yan Beiqing didn't look sideways, his ears were also paying attention to the movements. Lu Zheng just finished. He turned around and asked impatiently, "The princess has nothing to do. Just take good care of her for a few days. The prince doesn't have to worry too much." Lu Zheng wiped the sweat on his forehead, and his complexion was much more relaxed. Yan Beiqing felt that the big stone in his heart had fallen to the ground, and even his breathing seemed to be much smoother. Lu Zheng looked at Yan Beiqing's black robes in the future and said, "The princess will wake up in a little while. Will the prince go to change clothes first?" Yan Beiqing looked down at his robes. Later, he realized that he had forgotten to change his clothes. He was so reckless. Although he has learned from Hua Qianlu that Emo Shanghua seems to have guessed his identity, there are so many people in the house that he doesn't bother to be in trouble if there is any. Thinking about this, Yan Beiqing did not refuse. "Well, I will go back to change clothes and come back later." "Take your time, Lord." Lu Zheng bowed himself to salute. Before he got up, he had already walked to Yanbei City by the window and said, "Yesterday's play has not been finished. You should go to Nanha as soon as possible." Yanbei City left the flower place on the street, then quietly went to Nanha to exchange the clothes he wore yesterday. Before he could deal with the matter here, he saw that Nanha had already knelt down in the outer room. As soon as Yan Beiqing came out, she said in a loud voice, "I heard that the princess almost lost her life. It was the inferior strategy that my subordinates came up with yesterday that delayed the princess. In addition, the notice was too late, so I asked the king to surrender." Yanbei City stops, and the eagle-like sharp eyes scan the face of Nanha slowly. If he was an ordinary person, he didn't do anything wrong. He would feel guilty when he was staring at him like this. But Nanha still kept his eyes slightly closed, neither humble nor arrogant, and couldn't see half guilty. Yan Beiqing stared at her for a long time. Seeing that she didn't respond much, he closed his eyes and walked by her. "You should be glad that the princess is safe. Remember, next time anyone I arrange to be with the princess, if there is something important, I will not stop him." "Yes." The South Crane whispered that it should be, without any objection. However, in the drooping eyes, it was a look of clear relief. Before, she deliberately delayed Lu Zheng and tried to get rid of Qinya. She didn't do it very clearly. Now she is retreating to avoid Yan Beiqing's suspicion. Now it seems that she is right. "Get up and follow me to finish the play." Yanbei City lifted the bottom and sat down beside the bed, with no expression on his face. "Yes." Nanhe just stood up and straightened his bun. He thought he would make it a little bit messy. He went back to bed and lay down with his eyes closed. In addition, he made a pale appearance with powder, as if he was seriously ill. Next, it was nothing more than a play, which made the world think that Lu Zheng's skillful hand revived and saved her. After all, one day when Nanha is in the palace, there will be one more hidden pile in Yanbei City, which is convenient for many things. Qinya took the medicine from the maid and said, "Brother, help me to help the princess get up. I'll feed her the medicine." Qin Lin nodded, wiped his hand on his body, and then came forward to help the flowers on the street. His action is very careful. 2 hands only lightly hold the shoulder of Emo Shanghua. Dare not have half extra touch. After lifting her up, immediately put 2 soft pillows behind her. Let her lean on the soft pillow. Qinya took a small spoonful of the medicine with a spoon, blew it on her lips, and then sent it to Emo Shanghua's lips. She fed it carefully. Just fed 2 spoonfuls, the sleepy Emo Shanghua suddenly coughed 2 times, and the soup just fed in his mouth coughed out, spoiling a bowl of soup. However, Qin Lin and Qinya didn't have time to regret it. Instead, they were both happy. Qinya almost hit the bowl in her hand. She quickly stabilized herself and put the bowl aside. Qin Lin took the handkerchief carefully and handed it to her. Princess, you wake up at last. Are you better? Is there anything wrong? Qinya put down the medicine bowl, then asked busily, full of concern. Emo Shanghua took Qin Lin's handkerchief and wiped the medicine juice on her lips. Then she said in a hoarse voice, "No harm." Speaking, if her eyes seemed to have no in the house swept once, seems to be looking for something. Princess, what are you looking at? But not very well? Qinya turns her head and sweeps around the house. Nothing. Emo Shanghua takes back her eyes and takes her right hand to her pulse. Compared with before, her pulse has become more stable now. Even the disordered breathing in her body has all calmed down, and she swims steadily in her dantian. Who helped me with my diagnosis and treatment? Emo Shanghua raised her eyes in surprise. She cured her internal injury in such a short time. She really couldn't think of what helped her adjust her breath. It's Dr. Liu. Qinya didn't know that Yanbei City was in the room yesterday. She said, "Yesterday you fainted again. I was so scared that I ran to the South Lady and asked Liu to come over." Dr. Liu. Emo Shanghua's face was even more surprised. After a while he whispered, "I used to look down on him." Qin Lin saw that Qinya was chatting with Emo Shanghua, so he took the medicine he had not finished feeding. He said in sign language, "I'm going to boil a bowl of medicine." "Sister, you are with the princess." Qinya nodded like a pound of garlic, and was about to sit down on the sandalwood stool. At the door came a little boy's announcement. "The Lord is coming." The color of the flower eyes on the street darkened instantly, and the corners of his lips pursed into a straight line. Qinya didn't notice the abnormality of the flowers on the street, so she just saluted herself. "I heard that the princess was in an emergency. What's the situation now?" "Dr. Liu, you didn't come to see it in the middle of the night yesterday. You can see the princess again and see how she is now." Before people arrived, Yan Beiqing's voice came in far away, and the worry in the language was very clear. Lu Zheng was about to come forward when he heard the flower saying, "No need. I've had a pulse myself. It's no big problem. The Lord is keeping the Imperial Dr. Liu. It's a waste of time for me. I'd better take the Imperial Dr. Liu to see Nanji. I heard that she is critically ill." The Imperial Dr. Liu saw the midnight yesterday, and now Nana as well, and now he has gone to sleep. Yan Beiqing waved Lu Zheng to stay still for a while. When Yan opened his mouth, his past irregularities seemed to have diminished a lot after that night. "I'm also a little tired. I want to have a rest. Please come back," he said. Qinya was puzzled. Her master just woke up. How could she be sleepy again? This morning meal is useless. Yen North City choked a choke, and then staring at the thin figure of flowers on the street to see for a while, just irritable toward Qinya, and others waved. "You go first." "Yes." Seeing this, Qinya and others could only obediently comply. Even Lu Zheng voluntarily withdrew. There were only 2 of them in the room. Rao was so. They were also silent. No one spoke first. Emo Shanghua wanted to wait for a while, but she couldn't wait for Yan Beiqing's words. She was so angry that she simply closed her eyes and made a serious gesture to sleep. Yan Beiqing noticed Emo Shanghua's action. He wanted to raise his hand to turn her body around. His hand reached an inch of her shoulder, but he stopped again. He also thought that the flower on the street was hurt again. He was afraid that he might hurt her unintentionally. But Emo Shanghua turned his back to him. He was not comfortable when he spoke. After thinking about it, he stood up, bent down and looked at Emo Shanghua squarely. Is there something wrong with the princess? Could it be that I went to Nanji's place yesterday without saying hello and made the princess jealous? Speaking, the warm breath sprayed on the cheek of Emo Shanghua, which made Emo Shanghua uncomfortable and had to open her eyes. Never thought. Fong opened his eyes, then on the north city of Yen, a pair of eyes that seemed to contain the ocean as deep and deep, make her more uncomfortable. She simply turned around and pushed Yen Beiqing away. She sat up and said, I'm afraid I think too much. I'm just too tired. I'm afraid I can't even rest if I continue like this. At this time, Yen Beiqing was not impatient with his maidservants. Instead, he sat down patiently beside his bed and said, When you just pushed away my king, it didn't look like you were tired. Princess, if you are really upset, I will explain to you. I don't want to know what happened yesterday, but Nana was very ill yesterday. How can I not go? I thought that when he put down his posture like this, he coaxed me with a good temper, and the flowers on the street would be relieved. But I didn't want to. The more he said that, the more condensed the faces of the flowers on the street were, as if they were covered with ice. The Lord has just said that Nanji has just escaped the gate of death. In that case, why don't you go to Nanji to guard? I think the first thing Nanji wants to see when she wakes up is you. Seeing this, Yen Beiqing gathered a smile on his lips and said, Nanji is okay. It's Princess Yu. How to say, it's just for helping Wang. What I should see most is you. Emo Shanghua turned his face and didn't look at Yen Beiqing's cheek. He said coldly, Thank you for your kindness. I've said it again. I'm in good health. You've seen it now. It's time to go back. If you don't go back, I have to rest. After a pause, her eyes and eyebrows became more and more condensed. I need to rest. The words had already said this. Yen Beiqing and even the words in his throat immediately swallowed back, silent for a long time, no words, disguised clear eyes gradually dark. In fact, what he said just now was his limit. He is a proud man. All the rascal's mischief is just his disguise. It's very difficult for him to let go of his pride again and again. What's more, he didn't say anything to her yesterday, for fear of disturbing him. After he went out, he had a meeting with Qin Yazi, but she was so indifferent that he couldn't understand. Well, since she doesn't want him here now, there's no need for him to be boring here. Thinking of this, he stood up and said, In that case, the princess will have a good rest. No one can see, turning around, his eyes quietly across a helpless color. Until Yen Beiqing came out of the house, the flowers on the street didn't turn their eyes to see his back. They just listened to the footsteps in the house, and the coldness on their face faded slowly. They were a bit lost in their eyes. Previously, she deliberately tried to see Yen Beiqing's reaction after she was injured. Later, she didn't see any news coming from there all night, and even half a doctor hadn't come. She really didn't know what he thought in his heart. Before Mingming, he was good to her. How could he ignore her now? This morning, she was already well, but she brought Lu Zheng to have a look. How could she have no waves in her heart? However, she couldn't tell what she was driving him away for. She only knew that she was not very comfortable and stuffy. She seemed to be suffocating. Princess. Qinya didn't know when she came in. Seeing that she was in a trance, she could not help calling softly. Emo Shanghua's half of the reaction is no, self-care of the heart, eyes muddled. With such a childlike look, Qinya saw it on the flower's face for the first time. Her heart suddenly jumped. She quickly raised her hand and shook her shoulder. Princess, princess. Emo Shanghua, this just returned to God. The look in the eyes will hide in a flash. Only a piece of dark that people can't understand. What's the matter? Originally, this should be the Emo Shanghua that Qinya knew. But the thought of Emo Shanghua's just appearance and her cover-up appearance made Qinya have to think more. Why did the prince come in for such a short time, princess? You look like this and lost your soul. Speaking of this, she crossed Yen Beiqing's way of going out just now in her mind. Then she suddenly realized and asked, Are you keeping Mrs. Nan's business for the king all night? Are you angry with the king? Why should I be angry with him? Emo Shanghua turned her eyes and asked. There was no anger between her eyebrows and eyes. On the contrary, she was really confused. She is just a little unhappy in her heart. What does it have to do with those who hold their breath? She stared at Emo Shanghua's delicate cheek for a long time to confirm that she really didn't understand. She reorganized the language in her heart and then said, "Since you don't understand the princess, the servant girl came to ask you, what did you say to the Lord just now?" Emo Shanghua only feels that Qinya is close to each other, so she doesn't want to hide it. She tells her dialogue with Yan Beiqing just now. After hearing this, Qinya could not help looking at the flowers on the street, shaking her head and sighing. She could not help murmuring, "Princess, you have always been smart. How can this aspect be like rotten wood?" The flower on the street looks at her, and looks like she is all ears. Seeing this, Qinya tilted her head and thought about it. Then she said, "Let's talk to the princess." When I was working in the village's rich man's house, I once saw that the master of that family wanted to take a concubine back, but his wife refused to allow him to see the woman. Whenever I mention this, I would get angry with the rich man. All the servants in the same house said that it was jealousy, and food vinegar, no matter how generous on the surface, can be found after a woman gets married. What's more, when I was a child, when I saw my neighbor's uncle saying one more word to another woman, the family would chase him with a broom. With that, she couldn't help laughing and her eyebrows and eyes were flying. "You mean I'm jealous and jealous now?" Emo Shanghua is not a dull person. He is a little bit transparent and immediately asks. Qinya nodded at once, like pounding garlic. "You are not jealous. What can you do? If you want me to tell you this, you can be excused. Otherwise, don't worry too much about it." Excusable? It's excusable to know that she was seriously injured and comatose, but she didn't even send someone to ask for a few words. Is that excusable? At the thought of this, she was inexplicably depressed. Her eyes and eyebrows coagulated again, and her thin lips condensed and said, "I'm not jealous or jealous as you said." Not jealous? What can that be? It's clear that you just said. Now Qinya is puzzled. She stares at the flower for a long time, trying to recall what the flower said to her, and some details about them that are easy to be ignored. After thinking about this for a long time, her brain suddenly flashed. Yesterday, what Emo Shanghua said was to test suddenly appeared in her mind, and she understood it in an instant. If she was just jealous, Qinya could still persuade her. But she could not persuade her to do it in a few words. This is the knot of a stranger. She is not an outsider. Thinking about this, she could not help but sigh a long time, holding her cheeks in both hands and staring at the flowers on the street. "Princess, what are you going to do now?" "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Maybe when I feel comfortable, I will know how to plan." Qinya helplessly looked at the flowers on the street and got up and said, "My brother is still frying medicine. I'll go to see how it is. You can rest by yourself first." Emo Shanghua's delicate chin dots. His complexion is still blurred and complicated, and he doesn't even lift his head, which is obviously enchanted again. The next few days, Emo Shanghua simply closed the door, while maintaining their own injuries. From time to time let people see the situation of Yunji. Yan Beiqing came here once in a while, but she didn't see her. Lu Zheng seems to have something to do these days and seldom comes to see her. However, in addition to a few of them, an unexpected guest came today. "Your Second Highness Wanan." Emo Shanghua sees that Yan Moli is led in by Qinya, but she is still sitting on the soft collapse. She only nods slightly. "I'm still ill and weak. I can't get up to say hello to your highness. I hope your highness will forgive me." Yan Mo's lips pointed out a slight radiance, and his face was gentle. "Naturally, your body is important. You can be excused. How can we blame you? Thank you for your understanding." The flowers on the street gathered their eyes and sat down, in a state of neither humble nor overbearing. "Qin Lin, give your highness a seat." Qin Lin bowed and gave a salute. After a while, he quickly brought up a chair and put it aside. Yan Moli did not shirk it, so he sat down naturally. He straightened the folds on his robe, and then raised his head again. "I heard that the princess had been sick and even vomited blood since she helped me with my treatment that day. I've been resting these days. I think it's probably because of my medical treatment. I'm really sorry, so I'll come to see how you are now. Isn't he suspicious of her again? The flower heart on the street suddenly jumps out this idea. The facial expression is invariable. Your Highness is worried. Mo Shanghua smiles politely with a brilliant face. Everything in the house is mostly for my servants to chew their tongue. How can it be so exaggerated? Besides, when I was treating my Highness, there was Imperial Dr. Lu to help me. How could I be seriously ill? It's just an old disease. Your Highness doesn't need to blame himself. Yan Mo's eyes were slightly deep, but his mouth seemed to have no intention to say. I remember that you used to be quite healthy, and you didn't see the doctor in the Prime Minister's house. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and pressed her eyebrows. She said, when I got married in Yuzhou, I was on the road for more than a month. The road was bumpy. This old disease fell from that time. I'm afraid it's not perfect for 3 or 2 years. How could it be so serious? Yan Mo raised his eyebrows slightly and was surprised. Mo Shanghua's face was light, and he didn't see the slightest state of depression due to illness. The days in the future are still long, and there's no need to worry about 3 or 2 years. After a pause, a touch of ink passed through her quiet eyes, and she looked straight at Yan Moli. Your Highness said, isn't it? Yan Moli's deep eyes inevitably turned to the eyes of the flowers on the street, and the ink color in the eyes gradually deepened. What princess you said is very natural. The 2 men's eyes are all dark, but their faces are just calm. It seems that they haven't played a single role. In fact, they have fought each other for thousands of times. The difference in one move is the same as sending their weaknesses to each other. Unfortunately, it seems that the outcome of this battle is still uncertain. However, the 2 people's confrontation, the air has been uncontrolled stagnation down. There seems to be invisible smoke in the gradually diffuse. Your Highness said that after talking with the princess for such a long time, you must be thirsty. Why don't you drink some tea? The tea is specially bought by the Lord. It's the most popular tea in the imperial city. May I have a taste? Yan Moli took the celadone teacup, and while he lowered his head and stroked the tea foam, he said casually, I didn't expect that the news from Yuzhou spread so fast that he could even know what tea was popular in the capital. What seems to be unintentional is actually meaningful. After all, if Yan Beiqing, who has always been a waste of firewood, can inquire about all the fashionable things in Huangqing so clearly and quickly, it can be seen whether he is really stupid or not. At the moment when his voice fell, Qin Ye's face was white. She turned her eyes to look at the flowers on the street for help. The flowers in the street also picked up the teacup and tapped the celadone pattern on the teacup with their fingertips. Qin Ye is wrong. The journey from Yuzhou to the imperial city will be more than a month. It will take nearly 2 months to pass on such fashionable tea and other things. I'm afraid it's not fashionable in the imperial city. Therefore, it can only be regarded as fashionable in the imperial city a few months ago. I don't know if your Highness is still used to drinking? Qin Ye nervously grabbed the corner of her clothes and then released it. She gathered her eyes and said, It's my maid who didn't think at all. I forgot this layer. Your Highness is laughing. He who does not know is not guilty. See beyond Mo flower easily dissolve. Yan Mo Li Mao inside the facial expression tiny turn. Hang had tiny pursed a cup of tea. When the tea just came in, he frowned and took the cup away from him. I've lived near Yuzhou for so long. I'm not used to drinking this tea, but it's the most popular Chinese tea in Yuzhou. Qin Ye was also a smart man. He immediately understood Yan Moli's implication, took the teacup and said, Since your Highness likes the tea, I'll change it. The flowers on the street saw this, and the light of eyes fell on Qin Lin, who was still standing on the side, and gave him a silent wink. Qin Lin knew it, and then he retreated quietly. Originally, there were only Qin Lin and Qin Ye in the house, but now they have retired, leaving only Mo Shanghua and Yan Moli in the house. Mo Shanghua drank the tea in the cup. When her thirst was relieved, she said, Now you and I are the only ones left. What does your Highness want to say? The princess's mind seems to be much more intelligent than before, as if she had changed her personality. Yan Mo Li Mao light if there seems to be no in the Mo Shanghua's cheek on a circle, the final frame in her eyes. Mo Shanghua didn't look at him, but he didn't dodge too much. He was very generous and decent. If your highness had experienced the same thing, I'm afraid it would not be the same. Otherwise, your highness would not be sitting here and talking to me like this now. Yan Mo Li's eyes unconsciously fixed on Mo Hua's delicate and beautiful cheek. He only felt that when she said this, her expression was flat and her eyes didn't change much, as if she had been relieved and didn't care about the past. It's as if we can be so calm when we talk about such a tragic past. It's like we've gone through all the vicissitudes and seen through the world. Otherwise, we'll press down all our emotions deeply. It's harmless on the surface, but in fact, we'll press a demon in the heart. When the right time comes, we'll wait for the opportunity and take people's lives. Today's Mo Shanghua, in his view, is more like the latter. I'm afraid it's hard to control. But the more difficult it was to control, the more he wanted to see her. Thinking of this, Yan Moli pressed down the surging ink color at the bottom of his eyes, raised a gentle smile at the corner of his lips, and said, I heard that the emperor's younger brother always dotes on the beautiful concubine in the palace. Yesterday, because the beautiful concubine was ill, he called all the doctors and stayed in bed all night. As a result, the princess was very ill, but no one could cure her. Mo Shanghua eyes don't move, light reply way. This matter afraid is already in the mansion everybody knows, but didn't think, your highness originally also is alike to listen to the person to chew the tongue base. Being so insinuated, Yan Mo didn't see any anger on his face. Princess, do you remember what I told you before? Before. Mo Flower Lien Mao carefully recalled a moment, and then just slightly nodded. I remember. What he said should be the words that he discussed with her when he came to the palace that day. However, there was a heart of provocation in his words, and it was obvious that he wanted her to be used by him. Yan Mo's eyes looked at the flowers on the street, thin lips and light words, as if the words were just ordinary things. Now the emperor's younger brother dotes on Nanji, and most people in the palace are partial to Nanji. If my words come true that day, I'm afraid Nanji is the only choice for the princess after that. Are you credible? Mo Shanghua seemed to listen carefully for a long time, but she didn't touch her face. She only said lightly, Nanji was born into a prostitute. Chinya has already told her about Nanha's identity and background. On the surface, he is just a prostitute. If he really wants to be a princess, he can't pass the imperial examination. The princess must have forgotten that my younger brother has already taken off her prostitution status. She is now an innocent woman. Yan Emoli disapproved of the smile. In this way, as long as the emperor's younger brother wants to, I'm afraid even the father can't talk more. Mo Shanghua has no words. She stares at Yan Moli quietly, as if she has nothing to say. Seeing this, Yan Emoli was not in a hurry to be happy. He went on to say to himself, what kind of life will you live in Yuzhou without the throne of princess? I don't think you need to talk about it in this hall. In a word, it's not easy to make up your mind. But if you want to be in your position, it's not hard to get there. On the street, the cherry-colored lips are slightly pursed, the slender eyelashes are slightly drooping, and a serious look. After a long time, she suddenly raised her eyes and said with no smile, when your highness arrived in Yuzhou, even his life was saved by me. If you only rely on one mouth, don't mention me, you are a 3-year-old. I'm afraid you won't believe it easily. What if we let the princess see the strength of our palace? Yan Moli's complexion remained unchanged, and he was still calm and relaxed, and his eyes were full of confidence. That minister concubine is from should regard benefit as respect. Mo Shanghua sat up straight, but her words were sincere, especially the concubine, which she had never used in front of Yan Beicheng. On the one hand, she was not used to it, and on the other hand, she was proud of herself. Yan Moli naturally noticed that Mo Shanghua never claimed to be like this. Now she was willing to be like this. He stood up and said, thanks for the princess's trust. Even so, although the princess can rest assured, we will never let her down. Mo Shanghua noticed that Yan Moli, who was confident but introverted in front of her eyes, was slightly reminded by the symbolic corner of her lips. Wait and see. Yen Emoli sees this and smiles at her. Then he turns around and leaves. It seems that he has gone back to prepare. Chinya takes the position at the gate of the tea marquee. And when Yen Emoli comes out, she dares to go in. As soon as she saw Emo Shanghua, she quickly took Emo Shanghua's arm and looked at her all over carefully. Princess, you just talked with him. You are afraid of death. After staying for a while, I am even more nervous. Please let me have a good look and see if you are hurt. Emo Shanghua let Chinya look at it again, then slowly opened her lips. Don't worry, I haven't lost yet. Especially in the fight with Yen Moli, she will not lose, nor can she lose. Once she loses, there is no hope of turning over. Chinya stares at Emo Shanghua's calm and indifferent cheek and can't help touching her arm. She feels that her hair seems to stand up. The look of the princess made her shudder, but there was more admiration and admiration. In her eyes, the princess of her family is really handsome. No matter what time she is always calm and calm. But under such calm and calm, there is a sharp blade hidden. If you don't do it, you must see blood. After making a deal with Yen Moli, in the evening, all the people in the palace spread the story. Everyone said that Nanha was carried to the side of the imperial concubine. And the imperial concubine would be out of favor. Maybe soon, even the imperial concubine's position would be given to Nanha. Yen Emoli stood by the window, looking at the drizzle outside the window and listening to the comments of the royal palace reported by the bodyguard. His face was still, but his eyes were gradually faded, and his mood seemed to be much better. Well done. After a long time, he was not in a hurry to praise. Although he was praised, the bodyguard did not dare to be complacent. After thinking about it, he said, Your Highness, I don't understand. Since you want to let her know your strength, why don't you just give her a sweet date, but give her a slap? Yen Emoli lips cape tiny hook, don't smile of openings. Do you think she is easy to give a sweet jujube will believe me? Moreover, she must have guessed the previous events, so how could she not bear hatred? The bodyguard's face was even more confused. I don't know why I can see that because my subordinates are stupid. Yen Emoli Maoguang gradually far reaching up, the corner of the lip smile turned to sneer. From her deliberate diagnosis and treatment to the temple, malicious urge drug, let the temple suffered a lot of pain, it is enough to see. If he didn't bear a grudge, how could he deliberately give him suffering again and again? Although he was in a daze that day, he could still hear a word from time to time. Of course, he didn't know that Emo Shanghua had added a medicine to the poison in his body. Otherwise, it would not be the case today. How could that be? The bodyguard heard the words and was shocked. But since that's the case, why do you want to do everything today? My subordinates are getting more and more confused. Of course, I want her to think that I still don't know anything. Yen Mo's lips were slightly crooked, and the bottom of his eyes was dark. In this hall, she was still too young. Moreover, even if we don't know this, we can't believe her. No matter whether it's flowers or others, for him, the most trustworthy is always himself. He wants to take advantage of the flowers on the street, but if he takes advantage of them with full precautions, otherwise, who knows when she will stab him in turn. The bodyguard's face was a little puzzling. He frowned and thought for a long time. Then he suddenly realized, the Lord is wise. Yen Moli was not complacent because of the compliment of the bodyguard, but still had the enigmatic look on his face. How did the tale deal with those people who were sent out before? Don't worry, Mr. Wang. No matter our people or the mobs, there are no survivors. Those who were caught also took poison and killed themselves on the spot. Well. Yen Emoli light Ame again way. The fold of Imperial City handed over? Report back to the Lord. It has been sent as soon as possible. The guard hesitated and asked again, Your Highness, what's wrong with the poison in your body? Yen Emoli shook his head gently. Dr. Zhang is not here, and I don't know about this hall. However, he hasn't stopped practicing martial arts in this hall recently, so she must have detoxified it. His move is so dangerous, so unexpected, so he still has a high degree of certainty, Emo Shanghua will detoxify her. Yes, after returning to the Imperial City, My subordinates immediately went to ask for Dr. Zhang. The closer to the night, the more heavy the rain is. It's very hot in the house. If you don't get close to the window, you almost can't breathe. Emo Shanghua has always been insensitive to weather changes. Therefore the house is sultry. She also sits at the table and has a graceful and decent meal. Qinya couldn't hold it for a long time, so she simply moved a low stool and sat down under the corridor, reaching for the rain on the cornice while listening to the sound of the rain on the ground. Since she regained her hearing, she has been extremely interested in all the sounds in her life. She only feels that everything in the world is extremely pleasant. When the house was quiet and peaceful, Qin Lin suddenly came back in the rain. Most of his clothes were soaked in the rain. As soon as Qinya saw that he was like this, she hurriedly took the handkerchief and said, "Brother, you." Before he finished his sentence, he pushed Qinya Cheo aside and said in sign language, "It's not in the way." After that, he went directly into the house and put aside the herbs he wanted to buy. Then he leaned over to say hello, gesticulating in sign language. Princess, when the slave came back, he heard that Mrs. Nan had been granted the title of side concubine by the Lord, and she also released the foot ban. She said that before the matter was settled, Mrs. Nan was innocent and there was no need to ban feet. That's true, but everyone else in the house said that it was because she was sick and bored that the Lord had specially lifted her foot ban, so that she could go out to relax. It was quite difficult for him to draw such a complicated passage. After drawing it again, he could not help but draw it again for fear that the stranger would not understand it. At the same time, he faintly uttered some syllables that looked like words but not words. Emo Shanghua looks at Qin Lin's sign language expression. Her eyes, which are as quiet as an empty valley, suddenly change. It seems that there is something in her eyes. And oh, it seems that the calm ground is suddenly windy, and the leaves are rolling up. Did the prince take Nanji as his concubine? Flower lunging moment, subconsciously murmured repeated. Qin Lin hesitated and nodded, looking worried at the flowers on the street. Qinya's eyes were full of disbelief. How can it be? She's not qualified at all. Finish saying, just realize oneself is really too excited. Busy cover mouth, the same worry of sea flowers. I saw the delicate and beautiful face of Emo Shanghua, and her look in her eyes was beyond Qin Linya's comprehension. However, she was only absent for a moment. After a moment, she returned to normal again, but her whole body momentum was more cool and unpredictable than just now. He did give me a big present. For a long time, the flowers on the street opened their lips and opened their mouth without expression. Yen Moli, who can give her unexpected joy from time to time, is really a disgusting opponent. In fact, she couldn't tell what she was thinking at the moment. She just felt that her chest was more and more stuffy, like being held by a hand, and the hand was still shrinking. She could hardly breathe. That day, Nanhe tore off his mask and said something provocatively, as well as Yen Beiqing turned a blind eye to her serious injury a few days ago. These pictures flashed through her mind in a flash, shrinking her heart more and more tightly. With a light grip on the palm of his hand, Emo Shanghua gathered his thoughts, put down his chopsticks, got up and went around to the bookcase, picked up the pen and wrote a line of words, then folded the paper and said, "Qin Lin, when it's dark, you will quietly send this paper to your Second Highness." Qin Lin took the letter, but did not immediately return to his position. He could not help worrying and asked in sign language, "Princess, are you really okay?" Emo Shanghua shook his head, his eyes were quiet, and he couldn't see the color of sadness. "These dishes have been taken away. I've eaten them well." As soon as the voice fell, Yen Beiqing's voice came in from the outer room. Before the voice came, he said, "Don't withdraw. I haven't eaten yet." "How can the princess withdraw?" Qin Lin, Qinya's actions suddenly stopped, looking at the flowers on the street, as if waiting for her to show. "Well, I'll leave it to the king." The flower eyes on the street are a little chilly, and the steps only pause a little, then turn directly into the bedroom hall. "Ah, princess." Yen Beiqing just entered the house, but he saw a piece of flowers on the street, so he rushed forward and chased after her. Qinya is still spending money on the stranger. She wants to catch up and stop her. Before she steps out, she is stopped by Qin Lin. She uses sign language to say, "Let's not get involved in the affairs of princes and concubines." Seeing this, Qinya stamped her feet in shame, but she turned around and went out. Mo Shanghua enters the house. Before he sits down, he hears the sound of Yan Beiqing's hasty steps behind him. "I don't know why, but I feel happy and angry, and I want to turn him away, and I want to hear what he wants to say." After thinking about it for a while, Yan Beiqing walked behind Mo Shanghua and said, "How can the princess walk so fast? Is it because she is not happy after listening to some gossip?" "No, I'm just tired." Mingming is said by Yan Beiqing, but Mo Shanghua still can't help being hard-mouthed. Yan Beiqing turned the body of Mo Shanghua, looked at her delicate cheek carefully for a while, and then said, "I'm not angry. Look, your face is going to be blue." Mo Shanghua whisks Yan Beiqing's hand away, turns around and sits down with no expression on his face. The Lord is worried too much. Yan Beiqing was not angry either. He sat down beside him with a good temper and habitually took an empty teacup to play with. "Let me guess. The princess seems to be not happy these days. She has been avoiding the king. If it wasn't for the king's coming quietly today, I'm afraid that she would be rejected by the princess directly. Besides other reasons, there must be more anger. I've heard that the king has made Nanner an imperial concubine." After a pause, he still came over with a smile. "Princess, what I said is right." The flower eyebrows on the street moved, but still stiff, never spoke. She was not happy to be guessed so easily, but she could not refute or deny it if her throat was blocked by something. However, the next second, the smile on Yan Beiqing's face subsided, his eyebrows darkened, as if he had changed a person. "But these are not what the princess wants to see? I'm satisfied with the princess. How can the princess be unhappy?" The flower eyebrow heart on the MO is tiny. "See you again, don't understand again" is to take a few minutes. Faintly is the color of annoyance. "What do you mean?" Yenbei City played with the teacup, and it seemed that there was a storm gathering in his eyes. He had become the underground ruler who was decisive and controlled Yuzhou. The princess didn't have a private talk with her brother just this morning. The position of Nanner was also promoted by her brother. In addition to the meaning of the princess, I have a chance to quickly seal Nanner as a side princess. If not, I don't know how long it will take. Yan Beiqing's eagle-like eyes coldly looked straight at the flowers on the street, and his thin lips opened and closed, but all he uttered were words of a cold heart. With the fall of Yan Beiqing's voice, Mo Shanghua's heart seems to be stabbed by something. The pain is severe, and the temperature of a pair of quiet well-like eyes gradually decreases. "The Lord is so. Do you want to thank me?" "Thank you?" "Naturally, thank you very much." Yen North City Mao inside the Mo color more and more gloomy get up. The imperial concubine wants this king how to thank. Is it better to celebrate every day? Or do you want to invite your brother to come and have a good talk with you? What do you mean, Yan Beiqing? Mo Shanghua's anger, burning in pain, made her reason collapse temporarily. As soon as the words were over, Yan Beiqing suddenly got up and pushed her to the bed by holding the waist of the flower on the street. The distance between them was so fast that they even breathed together. However, the atmosphere was not ambiguous. On the contrary, it was the tension of some swords. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.